Thanks, Randall. Hey, Shades. What's up, guys? Yeah, sorry about that. There's a lot of moving parts to my stream, and I have a laptop, and so that probably doesn't help. So it gets a little bit clunky. I essentially had to rebuild, without getting too technical, rebuild the entire stream, which was kind of a last-minute resort because I don't know exactly what was going on with it, but I had to restart, reset, restart the computer several times. Really tricky. So sorry about that. I was working on it for like 30 minutes trying to get this thing off because I get in here early so I can prepare. But it's worth the wait because this is not going to be a la prima. This is going to be an in-depth portrait. And I'll take a couple streams with it. I'm not going to, don't worry, it's not going to be Randall. It's not going to be that anything like the Guru painting that I did. It's not going to be anything like that. We're going to have fun with this one. It's going to be a great painting, a really good painting. And this is Rose, and I'm going to do essentially the full figure. And I guess more of an academic style approach, but I really want to put a nice touch on this and have a very good portrait because y'all have never really seen me do a portrait before. You've never seen it. You've never seen it. So we're going to do a portrait. To do this first, and this is going to be a little tricky. I really, for something of this scale, prefer going off of real life for various reasons, but this is still going to be awesome. I'm going off my iPad. I figure, you know, I'll be able to get models in the future. You know what? Let me do this. Let me put my phone on my palette. I used to do this a few things. Oh man, definitely. I mean, I was pretty pissed off, which I won't get into because I'm not going to dump on you guys here. All right, so the main thing I'm trying to get is essentially we're working with the full figure, so I want to put this compositionally in the right place. And so it's worth taking just a moment to hatch this out. And so I'm going to be observing from back here. The top of the head I want about right here. Probably about there. Chin, hands going down. So I'm not going sight size, which is the size essentially that I see it in one position that I'm viewing it from. I'm not doing that. I'm going off of comparative measurements, which I did last week, in fact, because the face that I painted in Grisaille was, in fact, a little bit larger than the iPhone image. Something like that. Okay, so if that's the face, I might actually have to bring this up some. Let's do this. Let me place my palette here for now. What's up, Val? What's up, brother? How's it going? There we go. So I'm going back and forth here. All right, let me put this back up here. All I need is like a giant projector screen that just shows the chat that I can see more easily instead of having to be distracted with it. All these things. In good time, we will take care of this as we go. Okay, so here we go. We plumb line straight down, and then from here, from the top of the forehead down, and then there's an angle going that way, and then the jawline goes this way, up like that. And then if I'm really looking at the overall shape here, I want to think about the forehead and the hairline comes, and we're just going to squint down. I know there's this little bump here, but screw it. We're just going to go straight down like that and say, okay, the distance is like this. Okay, cool. It's going down like that, and then the back side, if we divide this up, this is essentially pretty much halfway between this, maybe a little bit varying on the right side. So I'm going to put the head something like this. The angle of the head's about there, and we have this part at the back, and then we have an angle dropping kind of through like so, and we can hatch this out, we can block it in, or we are blocking it in, but we can correct it as we go. Boom! And that's how we frickin' are blocking the head. Now, in my trained, very expert and beautiful eye, my perfect eye, I am picking up that the head is slightly too large, perhaps. So if we need to bring it in, we can, because I drew it in simple lines because I'm not a dumbass. All right? Okay. So we're going to bring this in some. Bring that in, and I might bring this up some, just a little bit. There, there. And then if I bring this up, that makes this too short. I'm going to bring this over just a little bit. Actually, I don't want to bring that over. I'm going to bring this down. This just comes in. So I'm essentially making the head a little bit smaller. Okay, a little bit smaller. Something like that. And then this part's going to come in just a little bit. And, but Louis, how we erase it? Shut up. Here we go. Now, it looks like in this Poses Rose is about to use Kung Fu on someone. She is in fact a Jedi making. I think you are absolutely correct, and I trained her in these arts, and so people better be careful because I am dangerous. What's up, Hammy? Right, here we go. This is how we work it. So it's worth taking our time in the beginning to get the overall broad shape of this, because it's going to save us a lot of time correcting down the road. Now, I would like to try this. Let's see, if this is the top of the head, this is the chin, then the neck should be pretty much down here like that. Should be here, I think. Let me step back, see if that makes sense. Now I step back to get a holistic perspective on this. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this point here and this point here, which I do believe that these points are in tandem with each other. If I think of an angle here to here, right, that is making sense. I think the distance is in the ballpark. All right, so we correct the points that we want to measure off of beforehand so that we're not measuring off of flawed points. You see, A, B, C, D, EFG minds, here we're very rational, practical beings. Art is not about expression, it's not about creativity, it's none of that. It's about cold, hard reality, facts, and truth to the face. Quildarius, how is it, my friend? How are we doing today? So, this point here to here, judging this, the tip of the finger should be probably somewhere around here. From here, it's falling about here, so I think the hand's somewhere around there. Now, if I step back, I'm going to superimpose in my luscious and fertile brain mass her right hand, okay? I'm going to superimpose that over her face, and my genius level intellect is notifying me that if I do that, from the point of her wrist here to the tip of her finger, essentially is coming up from here to about right there-ish. All right, so that's about the size we want the hand. And so I'm going to say, okay, if that's it right there, I think probably this is her finger, this is the angle of the shadow, the Aryan shadow. And then from this point here, I'm going to essentially plumb line down. Now this is a small image, this is a little bit difficult, so I'm having a little bit of trouble telling. Let me do it this way. Yeah. It's like, essentially, let me look up close. Yeah, if I plumb line down, then this piece is not like directly below it, it's a slight bit over this way. So I'm just simply going to draw a line, and it's going to be on, get out the camera away here, on that side, okay? So I use this, push my thumb up into the paper towel, and sweep it. Now this, I have found it's easier to do this on a smooth platform such as this instead of the canvas that we used last time. Every time you aim your paintbrush at the camera, all I think of it's, oh yeah, Avada Kedavra from Harry Potter. Well, you know, Magic Man. That is awesome, the Magic Man. Something like that, okay. And so I don't want to get, like, I tend to sometimes get a little bit too technical with this, so let's just get going, because sometimes I kind of juke myself out in painting. where I'll say, okay, well, I have time with this, so then I take an inordinate amount of time. Like I take too much time doing this, okay? And that's not necessarily good. So I'm going to essentially squint down here and just draw a line straight through here, and it's like I'm just trying to get the big, broad shapes of this broad, all right, of this big broad. She's not watching. All right. There we go. So I'm trying to see this whole shape here, and I can move these if I want, you know. This is an exact art, and we have to treat it as such. However, the first brush strokes we place, they're not going to be necessarily that accurate unless you're me. Unless you're me. All right. There we go. All right, so another thing I want to think about. I want to look at this shape here and then see this down to here, right? And see this as a shape here. So when I squint down, it's going to be, I'm just trying to ballpark it here, guys. This is a little bit tricky. This is a little bit tricky, but this is how it is. And, you know, the advantage is obviously this is not moving, it's a photograph. But in real life, these are the things that I use. Yeah, she is. Right now, I mean, plus she's the most convenient because she's always around. And, you know, she's a good model. She poses for, you know, I mean, she's done, you know, shots in Playboy, all that stuff. I mean, you know, she's the real deal. Anyway. The real deal. All right. Oh, wait. Sorry, all this, guys. Okay. There we go. That's a little better, huh? Let me, and I'll leave that for now. That's fine. If I go down on the hand some, I'll adjust the camera accordingly. Yeah. It's worth taking our time in this stage to get these shapes here correct. Right? It really is. So I squint down because when I squint, it takes away all this information and it more easily enables me to place what I think I'm seeing when I'm squinting, which is the basic lines, which is what we want. All right, so here, I'm going to think of a line that's kind of dividing this piece of the head right here to get the eye socket, which is coming at this angle right here. That's coming about like yay, breaking there about right there, yay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to blot this in very simply. And let's start throwing some paint down, in fact. And we're going to go to this big brush here to do it. And I am using a little bit of medium. And this is essentially, this is ivory, black, and cadmium red. And let me show you my palette really quick. This is the palette. All right, and here we have the colors, so you can see the colors. And it's essentially, this is limited palettes, the same ones that I mixed about 2 weeks ago, and they're still malleable, they're still workable, right? I'm using just enough oil to make it malleable, a little bit more, because the oil paint veers a little bit on the thicker side for what's comfortable for me to paint with. We're using a big brush, obviously, because we can be very basic with this. We can be quick, all right? Be very quick, and we can just get the overall shape. I'm thinking about this piece right here. I'm thinking about this. Just these large shapes. And if I want to correct them, it's very easy for me at this stage to correct them. It's very easy, but when I squint, I see an impression of light. I see dark and light, you know, light and dark. And that's what is important to get at this stage. All right, so this is what we're doing. We're doing the big basic block-ins, and so I oftentimes see, and I've done this myself, people spending a lot of time using a small brush with this because it is, I guess, a little bit intimidating going through and thinking that, oh, well, if I use a big brush, how am I supposed to get the detail and and get the exact likeness of whatever figure we're drawing? You can't do that. Wrong, you can. You just don't know how to use the brush, you moron. That's what I always say, just to be encouraging. It's true. You'll find that I speak truth on this channel, as Queldar can attest. There we go. And so then we can start hashing out these points. And the face is pretty much done at this point, so we're going to move on to the hands. Just kidding. Not done. It will be done, but not yet. Not yet. I don't necessarily need to go through and put the fingers in. Sometimes I mark them, and it's always strategic. And if I do mark it, I don't want to mark them so detailed where I'm taking my time to do it, because I'm most likely going to have to change it. And, you know, when you have to change something that's a little bit more detailed, it can be a pain. And so I refrain from detailing, especially at first, because I prefer just to be able to move a big basic line. And to be honest with you, when I'm squinting down, I'm not really seeing a lot of detail anyway, right? So I figure I continue to squint, right? You continue to squint and just block those shapes in, and you're going to get it. There we go. Now, I technically could just put black down, but I make it a rule when I paint. It's a good practice to always mix color. Mix your colors, but never put just straight white and black down. The reason being is you can get away with it probably in the beginning, and with grisaille, obviously, it's different, like we did last week. But, you know, it essentially will take the color out of your work, and it's not a habit that I want to develop. And one of the things working by yourself, you always have to, you know, be aware of the habits that you're developing, because you don't have anybody watching over you saying, hey, you need to do it this way, you're doing it wrong, right? And for those of you who are training at home, ditto, same thing. What's up, Marzipan? What's up? It's good having you. Glad you can make it. So this angle going here, and then it kind of comes down just a little bit there. Again, I just want to see the overall shape, which I think I could have raised this up a little bit. We're going to start cutting this in. All this stuff that I'm doing right now, and I kind of brought that in too far, but actually it'll be easier for me to use the paper towel to work that. And I'll get this shape, so don't worry about that. Stop panicking. Queldar, stop panicking with this, man. We got this. There we go. All right, so this is going to be slightly darker than the background, right? And this is going to be slightly lighter, so I will work that in as well. So this is better than last week where I was painting on a white canvas. It's not that great to paint on, right? Because I had to cover it so quickly and such. At the same time, it's very good practice to you know, have to try to cover it that quickly. Let's bring this in some just a little bit. Whoops, I messed that up. Let's do this. Before I work too much, let me bring that back down. And, you know, here's another thing to keep in mind. When you're placing your marks, you don't need to place them so correctly at first, but try to. I rely on myself correcting them as I paint, right? That's my goal with this. I rely on correcting as I paint. But that's not me saying to be lazy doing it. Don't be lazy. Try to get it right the first time, but just understand you can correct it. So don't take forever trying to place the mark. because that'll ultimately slow you down, right? Think about what you're doing, but understand too that there's a degree of flexibility that you can have. Like I said, like I'm just using this right here to shape. This is my white, right? And instead of, and the reason why I'm doing this, here's another thing, this is very important too. The reason why I'm using this and not color at first, which is totally viable, you can do that. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's going to be less messy, right? It's going to be less messy. All right, so I see this line here. This is kind of coming like that, which kind of is in the ballpark, and then we have this line. I'm just going to kind of mark these things, and I'm going to have to change it. And again, like when we get to the more detailed stage, right? The stage where we're working in a smaller, you know, like better, more detailed. We can still change this. I'm always thinking about changing it. As you can tell, like the chin's really off right now. And here's the thing, I don't want to make the head too big. I kind of want to keep the chin around where it is, but it's important to get the gesture. This will probably have to come up. This might come up just a little bit. Forehead. Maybe the forehead might come down just a little bit for where I want it. Maybe just a slight bit. I don't want to enlarge the head. Sometimes in correcting the shapes, we make everything a little bit too big or perhaps too small. I do want to strive to keep it about right here, and the reason being is because I want the hands to fit in proportionally to what the photo is, because there's grace in the reality of what the photo has, right? I don't want to start morphing things. Not yet. Not at the initial stage, unless I'm totally sure of it. But you paint with one hand behind your back, I do exactly the same. Yeah, you know what, you're right, and it's kind of a weird thing. I do this, it's a stately posture, right? It's one of intellect and superiority. That is just something natural that, you know, I was born with. You know, so it's a very stately posture. It denotes an intellect and superiority. I don't know what else to tell you. There we go. And so we're using the same like strategy where I'm going from dark to light. I'm slowly opening on my eyes, and I'll start hatching the shapes and solidifying them as I go. But mainly I'm concerned about this large shape, the large impression. And so I'm actually going to stand back, and y'all can see me in the small camera, very tiny. I'm just going to look at the overall impression of it. I'm going to try to visualize how it's going to look, right, later on. These poses can be a little bit tricky to do, you know, the ones at an angle. Honestly, one of the keys to painting a pose that's in a strange angle is to really focus on widths, angles, diagonals, and try to relate them. Don't think, oh, the head is tilted, I need to make it look that way, because then you'll paint it how you think it should look, which is always wrong, and that goes for me too. It goes for me too. You need a, there's a method of development that's tried and true, and this is what I'm showing you, all right? And it prevents you from painting like poo, all right? And essentially right now, I'm not wanting to get too detailed. I'm not trying to detail absolutely everything, but I am trying to fit everything in the ballpark, right? I'm trying to get everything in the ballpark. Right now, what I'm thinking, I'm looking at a light impression of this to here, and this obviously needs to come out compared to that. And it's also obvious when you just look at it, I think. And like I've said before, you know, keep in mind when I'm doing this stuff, y'all are going to see things that I don't see. You're going to see things that I don't see. My eye is going to get pretty old. And you know what? Y'all might get tired of looking at it too if you follow along through the entire process. Elder God Fraser, what material is the canvas? Well, this is actually a birchwood panel that I got at Home Depot. And I use the Dick Blick professional grade gesso, which essentially is like really thick. It's water-based. It's very thick gesso. I water it down. I cut it probably about 60%, 60% water, 40% of the gesso maybe, because it's really thick, maybe even more water than that. Anyway, I cut it down, and then I apply 3 coats on it, front, back, sides, and everything to seal it. And this is the 1/2 inch board, I think, which is strong enough. You can even get the large. I've done large paintings. I used to get the 3/4 inch, which I think is overkill. I got the 3/4 inch because I didn't want it to warp, but I don't think a 1/2 inch will warp. So, and this angle right here is off because this is the shadow, so that's not really off, but it was throwing me off a little bit. So I'm going to bring this light value down just a little bit. So we can press the paint in. You know, it's just like charcoal and pencil drawing. We can either press it in, or like we can kind of just brush over it like that. Or, you know, obviously we can do that and get a darker mark. So there's a degree of flexibility we can use hatching this out. Okay, and let's bring this up just a little bit. And keep in mind when you're working on things that are a little bit smaller and you think, oh, the chin needs to come up, bring it up very slowly, like slight changes, right? Because when you're working on a smaller scale, it's going to be more subtle than you think. You have to be more subtle. And you have to be subtle working large too, but you can kind of get away with a little bit more depending. All right, so you have the shape of the nose right here, which this is not working quite yet, but we will get it. We want this thing to work. There's a nice flow of light in here, and it's a back and forth process. I'm going to soften this right here. I'm not totally pressing in with it, right? And I'm just going to do that. Just kind of, my goal is to get the impression, which includes the light to a degree. I'm considering obviously the light as just the flat board, the mid-tone of the board. That's the light. The dark is obviously this brush. So we're working with 2 values, maybe 3 if you count the slight shading that I'm doing. Because I want to keep it simple. Like everything, I do want to keep it simple. All right, so this is kind of throwing me off here. I'm going to squint way down, and you can do degrees of squinting, right? It's not like you have, there's not 1 degree of squinting. Like I have this camera on because normally sometimes I'm close up, but I really do want y'all to see my face and understand how I'm squinting down, because that's actually a huge way to get an impression with this. Well, I didn't know she streamed. I've been looking for her and she didn't post. You know? And then I looked on her channel afterwards. When did she stream? Because I was trying to keep up. I had a lot of work I was doing this week. She needs to post in Discord, especially if she hasn't streamed in a while, because I really wanted to see her stream. All right, so like I was saying, there's degrees. Like I was saying before Hammy Scarlett rudely interrupted me. There's degrees of squinting that you can go through with this stuff. There's degrees. The idea, you get the large shape, and then all the other small shapes, they have to fit within, right? I'm going for this small photo, so I'm trying to see this whole shape, and I flash my eyes back and forth, and in fact, since I'm viewing it from further back, let me do this. I'm going to enlarge this just a little bit, just enlarge it just a little. Okay. Okay, there we go. So draw a line straight across. This needs to come up just a little bit. Okay. I think, unless that side's too high, we're just getting the overall basic shape of this, right? Get the angle of the nose coming up like this. This piece comes up. I'm going to like soften this top part just a little bit. Soften that, and maybe bring it down just a little bit. Soften that curve. Let's do it with this hand right here since I can see it better. I'm kind of pressing in with my fingernails right here. Just a little bit if I want to cut that top piece a little bit. I'm just kind of bring it down. Now, again, I can get a little bit too anal with this, and I need to remember that for stream. You know, I kind of strive to develop things a little bit quicker. So the tricky thing for me in this painting is simply doing just that, is developing it quicker, because in my head I'm saying, oh, well, this is not going to be an alla prima. We'll spend a couple days on this. We're not going to spend, like I said before, anywhere near that guru painting, which I do want to talk about that for a second, because you know, I haven't not, in the scheme of things, been streaming for a very long time. And y'all had seen me do a couple, you know, projects beforehand, but then we had this, essentially what we had this giant painting that I had to do that's right there, in fact. The gentleman should be picking up very soon, that I really wasn't into. For various reasons, and I'm not going to get into them. But I do want to say that that painting, I was thinking about that since I've had, it took me, first off, it took me quite some time to do. It took me about 5 months to do, and I could have done it in probably 3.5. And I won't get into why, but I do want to say, in the past, a painting like that, and when I say in the past, I mean probably 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it would have taken me, no joke, probably at least a year, maybe even 2 years to do something like that. It would have. It would have taken me a much longer time to do that. And I'm very pleased with that. But when you're first seeing this stuff, like, you know, a lot of y'all were watching me paint, and you could tell it was very painful. It was a painful process. I just want to say that is a rare occurrence, and that's not how it has been in here. And that's why I want to do a painting like this, where I do something that is high quality, but I do it in a time that's reasonable, you know, for the average person, right? It can be done, and I want to show y'all it can be done, and I want y'all to learn a lot and be able to take away a lot from it. It's unfortunate because I spent so much time on this piece, and there were things that I liked about it, and I did take it, it was a commission. I needed the commission, and there were parts of the painting I did enjoy painting. It was not at all a bad project. It was not. There were things that pissed me off about it, and it just happened, right? And that's okay, but you know what, that's life. Like, this job is much better than what the average person does, and I have to stop being a little wuss about things and, you know, complaining, and I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is I'm putting this stuff into a perspective. I want to do a nice portrait for you guys. I want this to be a very beautiful piece, a very beautiful piece. This is going to be classical. So far it's in limited palette. I might expand. I might bring some ultramarine blue, some alizarin crimson, what have you, into it. You know, there are things that I do want to do with this. But I want it to be a very beautiful and good experience for you guys. And I don't want to take like a long time on this, right? I do not want to take a long time. So I'm not saying that I'm going to do this, but I think I might stream a day this week, during the week. My video work is actually like I'm catching things up. I was a little bit behind in it. But I enjoy doing and filming the content that I'm going to be making videos on for you guys on Twitch. This is fun. I can do that. I can make these nice streams for you. You can actually see the process, and then if you want, you can catch the video of it later. And so that is a great way for me, because, you know, when you're first starting with this stuff, one of your greatest assets is, in fact, time. It takes a lot of time to do these things, and that saves me time. And I enjoy doing it, and you get to see the entire process. So in any video that I make, the cool thing for you guys is that, you know, like if you watch a video of somebody painting, you see the video and you get an idea of the painting. but you don't get the entire idea. You don't know what it took really to do it, right? You're just thinking, oftentimes you might be thinking to yourself, oh shoot, I suck. I mean, why can't I do that? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to show you, like, you can do this, and this is what it takes, and you'll see me make mistakes. And so when you're watching one of my videos, you can say, I saw him do that from start to finish. And if I want to, I can go to the live stream section on, you know, on Lewis's YouTube channel and watch that whole thing. So like you see the 10-minute goofy video that I do, which I love doing that stuff. But then you also have access to all of the footage right there for it. And that's one of the great ways, like, I can give you all the whole feeling of this painting by live streaming it. So it's like, it's all there. And so I've been thinking about that. I really like that, and I've really enjoyed, in particular, I think the last 2 streams, shoot, I kind of screwed that up. I really have enjoyed them, and especially streaming on Twitch, because I really like a lot of the people that pop in on Twitch. You know, it's I guess it's a little bit different of a crowd than YouTube. Anyway, I don't know. I like it. I'm enjoying it, right? I'm really enjoying this. So guys, as you can see, we're getting the big, broad, basic shapes, right? We're getting the big, broad, basic shapes here, all right? And then we can start hatching things out. Now, in a drawing, we have sharp lines and soft lines and all the varying lines in between, right? And we kind of key those lines just like we do the light and dark. Trying to follow along with graphite. This should be interesting. I'm glad you're trying to follow along. And by the way, reference photos are in our Discord server under the stream alerts section. I posted close up of the face, close up of the hands, and then a shot of the whole figure, okay? And if that's not enough, Rose also notified me to draw people in there. She will, in fact, do a shot of her tits and post it there. And so we're all awaiting that moment. She's not watching. She's not watching. We can tell when you are enjoying it. Glad to see you are working on something you want to do. It makes a huge difference. And thank you. Val, I'm just sitting here looking over stupid maps, our fragile electrical grid, planning out what kind of work I'm going to do next week. Sounds like fun. Val is a line worker, man. He works with electricity and danger. All right, so here, let's go back to this. So if this line is the side, wait, was that line? Oh, wait, it's in between these two right here. Because I messed with this, right? So I judged this off of this. That's the line right there. This should be the side of the thumb coming up, and then her finger should be there-ish. Wait, no, that's wrong. I brought it in too far. It should have been, so we can bring it back that way. You have her thumb here. Okay. I don't want to get too detailed with this. I'm just, like I said, we're just slowly getting the block in, right? Slowly getting the block in. That's what we do. All right, so the side of the hand is there. That's why I did the darkest. I'm trying to see, like, it's kind of like, you know, a diamond shape, her right hand. That's what we're working on getting here. Of course. Did I hear tits? I wasn't paying attention until now. Exactly, bitch. So if anything, tits would be what someone hears. Did you go through a phase where you make the model's eyes too big? I think I have caught the Disney virus. How do I get over this? Yeah, I did. I went through every phase you could possibly go through. You get over it by doing exactly what I'm doing now. You go about this process of blocking in, because this process isn't just a good method to develop your work, it's a good method to train your mind to see shapes. And the longer you do this, the less of those, like making the eye too big type of thing, you'll do it, but you'll catch it. So it won't be really considered, I make the eyes too big. Sometimes you'll make them too small, sometimes too big. It really depends. Eyes might be too big, or is the face too small, right? What is it? We squint down and we get the broad, basic impression. That's what we want to do, right? All right, let me do this here. I'm going to slowly sketch this in. Now, how I work, I go for the light impression like I'm constantly saying, but I also, turn like this because I need to cut it. If you want to cut something in, like and make a sharp edge, place your brush facing towards the edge you want to be sharp and push the paint in. You'll have a better chance of making it sharp. And if you want to soften it, I'm just going to slowly, I'm going to turn the brush more kind of to the side and angle it and lightly go over it like this, right? That's what I'm going to do. And now what I'm going to do with this very valuable cloth, paper towel as some people say, we're just going to go through and kind of shape it. This is flowing with the form. This is going across the form or the anatomy, right? Going across, going with. Combinations of those will make it very interesting, though. At this stage, it's really, honestly, I don't know why I'm telling you at this stage. It doesn't really make sense why I'm doing it. I guess because my greatness cannot be contained within one single stage. Powerhouse. There we go. All right, I just put that in there. Like I was saying, I work with impression, but you want to also think about the anatomy of what you're doing. Her wrist is a necessary element, a necessary anatomical element within this work to judge off of. Disney virus has been there. It's like, compared to figure I did a year ago versus now, there's such a huge difference. Good. Remember, and that's what I told you to do. That is excellent, you're doing that. The trick to getting the eyes right is to draw everything but the eyes first. Everything but the eyes first. You can try that. Randall, watch, like, I'm doing the eyes. Look, when I do my eyes, what did I do? I block in the big shape. There's obviously light in here, and this shape is not correct, by the way, and it's probably going to shift. But what did I do at first? Look, and I'll bring it back. This is how it was. Right there. Get this shape, get this shape, get this shape correct. Work this stuff out, and then slowly open your eyes and start hatching out the shapes. And I guarantee you, you're going to get the eyes. If it's an area with more flat light, do it still, okay? Do it still, because you'll still notice this shape. You'll still notice this shape here, going up here. Squint down and do the sunglass effect, and then work with this shape and this shape, and get these shapes 1, 2, 3 correct. All right? That's how you're going to do it. And I think what Queldar also means is don't look directly at the eyes and try to get them. Look at the broad thing, get everything around it, and then hatch the eyes in, but looking at it almost through your peripheral, your side vision. And I promise you, you're going to have like a million times easier of chance getting it. What's up, Tagging? What's up, brother? Oh, it's Gentian. The virus of Kosovo. All right, let's get this moving. Let's get this moving. Let's get this. So let me move this over here. That's going to fall. Just leave that there for now. I need to get the side of the hair. Okay. All right, that was wrong. Actually comes out some. All right, tag in background. This is background. This is the foreground. How do you work it in? Bring as much care into the background as you would the figure. Now watch this. It consists of value, and then a line transition, and then varying ones in between. That's what it is. So we just need to make sure that we get the impression with the drawing. We put care to both of them. Okay? So when I squint down, this is almost the same. This will be a little mini lesson in the background. Okay. You know, there's oftentimes this white halo around the figure because people think of the background, the figure separate. Don't do that. Think of them as one and the same. This is simply an extension of the figure. You're going to have to fill the entire canvas. Okay, I'm going to darken this just a little bit here. I'm going to work this up a little bit more than I would at this stage just to prove background. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, and we would do this with values before, I'm going to go through and I'm going to shape this part just a little bit. I'm going to bring some off. Kind of bring that up there. There we go. Bringing the value up, the light value up, meaning making it lighter. That's what we want to do, right? And this is with a big broad brush. Step back. Notice the drawing's incorrect. So I'm going to go through and shape this line. It kind of goes like this, and then it cuts in like that. I'm going to step back again. Straighten this up just a little bit. Just have a little bit more flow. Then I'm going to soften this just a little bit. Okay. No, it's getting in the ballpark. It's going to help me though with this. We have this piece here. Let me get this right here. So we have like this little bit of hair coming this way. So now we can start like bringing light out of it. Chiaroscuro, right? Emerge some light from the dark. This is also, it's just fun to paint this way too. And then we have, if this is the cloth right here, it is dark, but I'm just putting this in for anatomical reasons. We have that piece here, and then we have this piece. Okay, so I'm just hatching these shapes out. And then this part, the reason why I did that is because I'm measuring this, trying to get this whole light impression here, and then making sure that this distance right here is correct. So that's essentially how I made sure that this line is correct by hatching in that other basic information. This needs to make sense with the top part as well. And this part actually needs to come out, I think, just a little bit. Maybe not. But I'm going to put it here, and then I can always bring it back later. What's this? Get out of the way of the camera. I think it's like something like that. Bring it down. Okay, and then we're going to slightly correct this angle. This angle comes in, I think, just a little bit. Yeah, it does. I think I brought it out too far. Something like that. It's worth taking your time on this. It really is. And this comes in. And then this is going to be darker at the top. And I'm going to bring this in just a little bit. So this is why I was talking about like having a degree of flexibility. You have a degree of flexibility, so don't be afraid to put stuff down, but use your head, right? Now, when you're first starting, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And that's a good thing. And the reason why it's a good thing is because you cannot learn unless you make mistakes with this. If you make mistakes, but then are honest enough to see them, right? If you're honest enough to see them, if you have means, if you have the means to know how to fix it, even if you can't, trying to do it, trying to fix a mistake is how you're going to get better. That's how it is. Right? So it's a back and forth process. But do you understand, Tegan, how I am working this and thinking about this edge, this value here? That's how you're going to work the background areas together. And then we start hatching this stuff out just a little bit more. And this here kind of comes up just a little bit. And we can kind of leave that the block and stage right now. It's fine to do. More concerned about the overall impression. What did he say? Hammy. That sounds good, Clara. Oh, you have the option of turning into song if it's wrong. What did he say? I missed that. Genshin Impact. All right, and so in a second we're gonna add a little bit of color, but first let me work on the hands some. And let me in fact lower the camera just a little bit so that you guys, it'll be a little bit better shot for you. Turn this so I can actually see it. Give me just 1 second here. Gotta be very careful about this if I'm doing it off that. Is that good? Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna maybe drag this over just a little bit. Let's try that. Okay. Do that. You can see it. Don't need that. Where's my with this? And this. Okay. And again, like this brush is like a 10 or something. It's pretty big. So we're thinking about just getting the angles. These two fingers, like the middle finger of the pointer, I'm going to kind of keep right there, like kind of bunch them up into one finger at first. I'm not going to draw them separate. And I'm going to look at this tip, and I'm going to try to draw an angle down right here. And if this is here, and then there's kind of going along the knuckles of the middle finger, ring finger, and the pinky, kind of follows down, and so I'm going to cut this in just a little bit. I brought that down some because there's this line here that kind of flows down about there, okay? Which kind of makes sense because the fingers are foreshortened and the middle one is in addition bent a little bit. Then from here, this is really interesting what's happening because if I'm to squint down, so I see this piece here, and then I see this shape here, and I drew this wrist in, so this is coming down. Her wrist should be, of her left arm should be here, and then it's going to be coming at this angle right here. So now we have this right here, this distance that we can work off of, okay? And let me fill that piece in really quick, and this is really going to change the painting in a good way. Notice, again, like the background's green, which I am going to paint in, but I'll do that perhaps another day. I'm more concerned about the value at this point. Man, I can't get my hands on some good drawing paper via. I've looked online for Strathmore 400 series drawing paper, but the shipping is too expensive. That sucks, man. Okay. Son of a bitch. It's bored. So I have like my entire studio on this side of the studio, and I have a big studio. You guys have seen it in the video. It's a pretty large one. And the reason is, I think I explained this last week, they had to fix the roof because there was a major leak. This building was built back in the 1930s. And so it was leaking, and essentially that wall over there was falling apart. Which is rough because that's where I do a lot of my like editing, and I have a lot of technology there, so I always had to cover it up at night if it rained especially. Sucked. Anyway, so they redid that wall, and which is why all my studio is trash right now, but the wall looks really good. They fixed it. All right, there we go. So now that really changes how we see things, and I can bring that arm up, I can bring it down. You've seen how I do that. So the reason why this is cool, and I said before what's happening, look at this line going all the way up through this point right here. It's almost like it's going like right in line with this finger. Do you see that? Look at that. And these angles right here, get used to seeing them. Try to look for them. Be creative in trying to find these things. And guess what? I am painting so simply right now that it will be very easy for me to correct. All right, let's get the width of this. Width here, assuming this is correct. And I can shift it, but if I shift it, I'm going to move the whole thing. I'm not going to move just one part. Why? Because it'll make it too thin or too thick, and I'll have two separate drawings. One drawing here, one drawing here. Two separate positions, rather. All right, so it's going to be something like that, right? right? All right, so then check this out. This is cool. So if this is here, I think, that angle's correct, and we can always fix it. And then from here, we're gonna draw an angle about like that. So imagine it's kind of like this diamond shape, right? It's like 1, 2, like that, right? And so we're gonna cut that, and then we can work on the thickness of everything. Here, kind of went too low with that. There we go. We'll start hatching these shapes out a little bit more detailed. All right. So like I said, I want this painting, I'm going to do a video on this, but I want this to be something that's a very strong resource for you guys who are interested in this type of work that you can always go back to. I am going to release the full stream on YouTube in my Streamlist section, and I will do that with Grisaille. I simply forgot to do it this week because I was working on other stuff. Maybe I'll do that today if I have a chance. But that's where I plan to put all my streams up, so you'll always have access to all this stuff, you know. In addition to a funny video that will come from this, I'm sure I'll do something stupid. I specialize in that. I'm kind of standing off to the side here so I don't block the camera. Now check this out. This is going to be fun. Wait, before I do, so now I'm opening my eyes up, and I'm walking up. Let me see. Yeah, y'all can still see me there. I'm opening my eyes, and I'm going to kind of slowly hatch this out. So you can still see that, yeah. So I'm going to put a little bit of the hand on. Now, I kind of do this, wipe some of the thick paint off so I can get a fine, you know, fuzz to it. Let's do it a little bit more. Yeah, okay, you can see me. So then this is kind of coming here. I'm squinting down. And again, this is all stuff that I can shift the entire hand if I want to. Randall, this is how we get the proportions, right? You know this, man. You've been watching this. You know this. This is how we do it. Okay. Putting this on. And then I'll go back over it with the cloth. Okay, I'll go back over it with the cloth and hatch it out. And this is really cool too, what's happening. I've been squinting so I didn't really see this, but we do have, in fact, her arm. Like if this is the finger right there, her arm behind is like going down like this, which I think makes some sense. Yeah, that's making some sense. And then this part follow through is about there, which makes sense because that's the wrist and then that's there. Okay, so this is how we're getting it. I think I'm blocking it. Fade, and then press. Wait, is that the pinky? Did I just go over the pinky? No, that's the pinky. Okay, that's the pinky, so let's do this. We're gonna really darken that part. Like this part right here, you know what? I'm just gonna fade that out. I'll get that drawn back in later, because honestly, that's not really an anatomical point that's so important right now. All right, let's cut back into this. This music is Assassin's Creed, by the way. So we were talking about that in the stream the other day. For what I'm trying to achieve. Surprise though. Sketchbook is. What are you trying to achieve? Okay, the sketchbook is a Talon's art creation. It sucks. Care for watercolor sheets. Haven't tried a Talon's sketchbook yet. Me neither. Use them, James. There are not any art supply stores in my country. Are you kidding me? Yeah, imagine there's one, but it sucks. Yeah. Like, do you order online? Is that what you do? Okay, let me go through and start hatching this out some. So like I said, like I need to stop saying like. It's pissing me off to no end. Okay. When I squint, I see this, and I see this come up, the light shape. There we go. So this is a very important way of working because it's a flexible way of working where it enables you to change things on a whim. It helps you to see the entire shape, so you're going to get the drawing faster, your work is going to go quicker. It's a great way of painting. It's one of the best ways to train your eye. And that does not mean that you need to continuously work like this throughout your career. You don't need to do that. You can start in with color if you want later on, but the idea is to train your brain so that's capable of these things, right? It's capable of this. That's what we're trying to do here. So when I show you these methods, I'm not saying it's the only way, but I think, in my opinion, it is one of the best ways, especially if you're going to academic work, to train, to become good at proportions, right? And that's what the goal is, right? So we're trying to get better at proportions. We're trying to understand, what we're seeing and convey it properly, and that is key. Understand what you're looking at. Don't just draw shapes. If this model was moving, if this was from a live model, one of the tactics that I would be using, because the hands will constantly shift, is to understand the anatomy of what you're looking at so that when you draw a shape that doesn't make sense, you catch that. If you remember the anatomy and you understand what's happening with the foreshortening, with the position, you'll be able to capture that much quicker, and you'll be able to tell when she moved, and you'll understand what happened. And so academic work is not simply blind copying. It's not. It's training us how to really understand the subject and the anatomy. And you don't need all these fancy anatomy books, you do not need them. You really don't need them. It's not necessary. I think what's most valuable, to be honest with you, is access to a live model and just drawing a lot, like constantly drawing. If you don't have access to a live model, Quadrarius Maximus here knows great reference photo sign-ups and such where you get access to an unlimited amount of them. And I constantly post them in our Discord and what have you. We have all that stuff. I obviously don't have as much of a database yet. However, it's all very valuable. In other words, drawing and just constant practice, attention to these things, are going to train you to understand the anatomy. You will be surprised at how quickly you go in the amount of time that you spend doing it. You'll be very, very surprised. Like here, I'm thinking about the anatomy of the wrist. I'm thinking about the bulge and such. Like it makes sense to me that this part comes, and then because her arm is kind of coming up, what's happening is that, son of a bitch, it kind of presses up, and it's going to push this part of her arm up, which you guys cannot see. Son of a bitch. Okay. That's okay. I simply won't do that right now. Let's go. What can you see? Fill this in for you. Don't worry, we're going to get to color in a second, and I am going into this with color. And maybe I pushed the color a little bit more than I did in the John Singer Sargent's master copy of John Ridgely Carter. Maybe I do that. Maybe we go about it that way. Maybe I add a little bit more color. I don't know. Do y'all want to see me paint with a limited palette, or do you want to see me add blue and some alizarin crimson to kind of push this and give it a little bit more of an effect? What do you want to see? I kind of want to do the latter. even though I'm starting out with a, oh, you see how I got that? I kind of just like, I turned my brush to the side and kind of like fanned it a little bit, very lightly. I wasn't pressing in, and that fades it. That gives a nice fade. You all saw I can always bring it back up. I can do that with the edges too. Like if I want that soft right there, I can kind of fan it down just a little bit, which is incorrect, but for demonstrational purposes. Sorry, supply store. Agreed, push it. By the way, discovered you can find like any references on DeviantArt. No way. Find limited palette, and then when it's dry, color time. First limited palette, and then when it's dry. Okay, I like that. I like that idea. We'll do that. Today we'll work with limited palette. Okay, we will work with limited palette, and then I will add color. So. Tentatively, I would like to say that I am considering streaming like this week on Tuesday. This is tentative. I will update you in Discord. The reason being is because Tuesday this might be dry enough for me to paint on, but even if it's not, I think I can still paint into it. And I'm also thinking that there's going to be a lot of things that I don't get to today on this, right? So, in other words, I could work on the face. I want to black the hands and the face in though. I don't know. We're going to see how this goes, and then I'll decide if I'm going to stream on Tuesday or not. But I'm looking to stream another day this week because, like I said, my video work is actually further along than normally it is. Normally, I have so much work in the studio that I have to really take time away from doing video work and vice versa from the painting. This week, the day that I got the video out, I already have like 2 scripts written up, and one of them is like a really good still life that's going to be way more in depth than anything that I've done, and that video is going to be in the 20-minute, 25-minute range. I actually need to cut it down just a little bit. So shit. Let me get this. I need to think, okay, wait, because this needs to go up, and that needs to go up some. Okay. Anyway, my point being, I'm ahead in my video work, and I tend to stay that way, but it would also, I want to be painting a little bit more than I am right now, and doing a live stream on a painting that will benefit video and it will keep me in practice, which is my main goal. Working by myself, I tell you, I don't necessarily recommend it, but it is kind of necessary. I always recommend, if you can, work with somebody because it will keep you a little bit more sane. And also, if that person knows the art you're doing, you can kind of improve off of each other. It really helps. For me, I have to make sure that I'm not making compromises constantly, all right? And I need to stay in practice. I need to stay in shape, which is why you guys have benefited me so much, because you ask me these questions and really push me and ask me to do certain things that I otherwise wouldn't do, and they have great benefit for me. And so I have to say I'm very grateful for y'all for that. I feel like I'm one of the, I'm the beneficiary of this stream. That's how I feel with this. Like every time I stream, I feel like I've gotten so much from it. And I really love streaming. I love painting. I love streaming, this type of stuff. It's really just wonderful. And again, I think partially because, I'm so used to working by myself. That's really looking horrible. Okay. Let me focus on this for a second. Okay, so this piece here, let's just look at the whole shape. I'm going to step back, okay, because let me adjust this. Give me a sec here. Let me actually catch on my chat really quick. I don't know if y'all are talking about anything. First limited palette, and then it was trying. I listened to the documentary today about Daniel Graves, and he said that when he was studying with a sculptor, he learned anatomy so intensely that the student could draw a figure from imagination. Yeah, I do not doubt that. He also mentioned that he read some letters that Sargent sent to a friend describing the academic training, and he said he said to be accepted in the academy, you had to draw a figure from imagination and life. Yeah, you're right, they were badass. They were badass. To be honest with you, I could do that when I came out of the academy, but I have not been doing figure drawings for a long time, so now I struggle a little bit more with it. All right, so you can lose it, and you can get it back, and that's what I intend to do. Okay. Okay. So I think this comes down just a little bit. I need to define this a little bit better than I did. We just need to start shaping this. That's what we need to do. There we go. I'm just looking at these shapes here. This shape here to here. And then I think I put the fingers, I think I put them a little bit too high, like the other three. I think they dropped some. In fact, let me go to a slightly smaller brush because I'm making errors to the point where it's kind of slowing me down. This is worth it for something like this. And then this is going to drop. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Bring this, and I'm just going to hatch them out. How's that sound? There we go. I'm going to squint down, reblock this in. Let's just get the light impression here. Ow. If I squint, I want to see this, but this part comes down some. And remember I said if you want something sharp, you cut into it. So if I wanted this sharp, I'd cut into it this way. But I don't, so I'm actually going to go the reversed, and it's going to kind of rake over it a little bit. All right, and you can kind of fan it down like this and get that soft edge. And so I'm just trying to think of y'all see this shape here, right? Like if you squint way down, this is going to be slightly lighter than the background. The shadow is. So I'm kind of like, now I'm kind of taking some paint up, just a little bit. Let's soften this edge just a little. We can refine it, make it look pretty later on, but for now, let's bring this over some. I'm going to take some of this paint that's here, and like I said, we're cutting into it. See, that's a sharper line. Y'all can see that. I don't know if I need to zoom in for this. Maybe I should. You can still see it though. You can always zoom in on your screen. It's a very high quality, high res stream as compared to like what YouTube was doing, I think. This is going to drop some. All right, so then this, let's make sure that angle of the thumb is the correct height. Guys, here's the thing. It's worth taking your time with this as much as I do want to add color right now. And I could correct this with color, but it's worth taking just a little bit more time in the opener to get this correct, all right? This is going at an angle, slight angle, which I think I do have. I just need a like subtle line here. Whoops. Goes over just a little bit. Okay. Okay. This part is just going to drop. It drops just a little. Okay, now this part, take some of that out. It drops a little bit more than I have it. Shoot. I was wrong. Clean part. There we go. I was wondering why it was in erasing. I'm just kind of fading that down just a little bit, trying to bring that light down. Right? Hands are worth taking your time over. See this whole shape here. One second. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey. It's been a long time.
How are you, man?
It's good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
We didn't want to bother you. We didn't know if you were.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Guys, give me about 2 or 3 minutes. All right, I will be right back.
I know we just dropped in on you, so
No,
I feel like I know you got stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm glad he never bring Charlie here, so he did
Oh,
Charlie
cool.
tour and he did a sketch of Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that. He's really my budding artist.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they're very patient children.
Yeah.
Unlike ourselves. Very patient children.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I,
Gorgeous portrait, is that?
yeah, so this is,
Was that Maria out front?
which, no, that was
Kinda looks
actually
like
one of my friends from Georgia. Yeah. I
Okay,
can see
okay.
that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And she
Maria's
moved back?
awesome.
She moved back with Chris?
Yeah. They got married and they're here.
So they were in Charlotte, so we hung out with them.
Yeah.
All the time, yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Really cool. But yeah, that's basically it. Just have, I don't have a lot to show right now. I think
That's
it's
good,
kind of
we're
like-
selling them.
Yeah.
Well, it's all, a lot of them, I am, but a lot of them are against the wall too. Right
Oh, well, that's how it works.
now. Yeah. So,
But they say Marshall's a better where my portrait is.
Right, he was staring at us all night.
I'm keeping an eye on it.
No, that looked amazing.
yeah. Well, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, he was very patient.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit for a portrait.
We had to do some. We had to do
Do
some
something
more.
different, that's right.
Yeah.
You had to make me look young but old.
The painting behind it, tell me that's not the one you went off of.
No, thank
Okay,
you, I did
all right,
that
yeah,
one.
all right, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Kruger.
Now, do you have the color match? Like,
I did. I've done everything there is to do, and I'm washed up. we got a farm now in Morganton, so we're just growing food and
awesome. Man.
I'm just trying to get back to basics at this point.
Okay.
Simplify.
All right.
Charles was saying here, but yeah.
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 Beautiful, beautiful farm. They got a garage and apartment there.
It's a small little place that just
Turkey, deer,
yeah.
spiders.
Spiders, lots of spiders. Yeah, we got bear, bobcats, all that fun stuff, fun in nature. But
You have to hunt them.
I will.
He lets
Protect
other
your
people.
wife.
Yeah, it was Huntland. Yeah, it was Huntland for 30
Awesome.
years. So like all that stuff is, I'm not killing them. So it's growing up and like they walk right up to the house and they're just like, "What's up?" Like, they're not scared of us at all. They just keep on moving along. But,
Right.
But if you ever felt like it's only an hour away, so if you ever felt like coming up, please, I'd love to show you around.
Yeah. That was Rose. It's a very old portrait. And then.
No,
That's a. Oh yeah, that's one of my friends in my kids. But he shaved that beard.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's coming. Oh yeah. But I can still finish it. We really work the beard up, so I'll probably end up leaving it. But the face, I want to go with the face.
At least he's got hair on his head.
Yeah.
Oh, guys. But it was good seeing you guys. I didn't want to take the time.
That's it.
It's good seeing you guys. Totally worth
I'll
it.
go online.
Yeah, I wanted to see it for a long time. I didn't expect this. Mannequins and babies.
I meant to check it out because I actually drop kicked once and then I punched places.
Oh,
Make
okay.
them kind of
Deformed.
It doesn't make sense when I explain it. Just you gotta watch.
Okay,
It.
all right.
It is
All right.
educational.
The wokes will get you, you better be
Yeah.
careful.
I did
I do it.
expect
Bro.
mannequin arms and partial mannequin pieces, but not the baby. Yeah.
It's good seeing you.
Right.
Good seeing you, buddy.
Thanks for letting us
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Thanks for showing us around.
Obstacle course, I swear. Like if
No,
y'all came in
no,
Monday,
give
this
me
would be
anything.
back there.
Give me anything.
Oh, definitely. Hey, y'all are welcome to stop by whenever you want.
Well, we don't
This
get,
place is normally nice and.
well, we don't get in town as much, but we want to show him a couple things. You know, his cousin Bill Stevens has bought a place over here on the
Oh, I
side.
didn't know that.
Yeah, you know where Coon's studio
Yeah.
was? It's the next building up there on the
Okay.
right.
Alright.
They're gonna move, in August, they're gonna move in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do
Really
you remember Bill?
Bill Stevens.
Yeah.
I know I met him a long time ago, but I don't have his face
Oh,
in
okay.
my mind. I'm just
You
actually met him.
music and recordings and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
All right, you take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you, Marshall. Take care, buddy. All right, guys, I'm back. Some very, very old friends. I grew up with actually the guy who was my age, Marshall. Really nice guy, but sorry about that. But we're back. we're back, and we're messing with the hand. And let's see. They give so much importance to anatomy back then. They have a high level of commitment to their craft. Where did they find the time, though? It's they were drawing figures from imagination at the age of 20 because they didn't freaking have the internet and like all these. They didn't have video games. That's why. What else are you gonna do? We'll be back shortly. And they had their masters helping them out. Just being around great painters and drawings. Welcome back. All right, you know what? I think I'm wrong with something that I said. I was thinking about it. I said you don't need the anatomy books. I think that's bull. I think actually that can really go a long way to help you and it can supplement it. So I take that back. All right? I think, but my point is you'll be surprised going off of live figure work, especially live, but it can be reference photos as well. You'll be surprised at how you learn anatomy because the reason being you have to constantly look for it, understand it, and draw it. And when you do that constantly, you're getting it in your head much more than if you're just staring at a picture trying to memorize. However, those anatomy books have so much value in them. They have so much value. So I'm dropping this down. I know that's too thick. Give me a sec. Okay, and then this one, if this is the thumb, there's a line coming this way through the center of it. Going like that. Okay, I'll shape them in a second. I'm just getting the broad pieces of light. And then if this is there, if I'm measuring off the top part down to this, should be, I think, gosh, 1 second. Hey, what's up? I am literally drawing your face on stream right now. Yeah. What is it? Oh my gosh. Can I come and sit in at some point? How much do you pay to do that? And how much does it cost to go in and sit? It's totally off. It's so bad. This goes up. Really? It's arranged? Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, okay, I'll definitely do that. Right. I swear I'm about to shoot Jack. No, he's banging on something. It's just been going on for a long time. I don't know if anybody else can hear it, but that's really cool. That's really cool. Good job. How did you get that? Did you apply or? When was this? Yesterday? Oh. Right. Okay. Right.
paintings for $100. It takes 20 minutes, so talking about like roughly about 2 hours of work. It's not bad. That's not bad. $50 an hour just painting and these quick paintings. It's pretty good. Bring this up some. Really nice. Alright. Uh-huh. That's really good. Good. So you'll still have time to actually come in here and get some work done if you want. Well, that's good. Good job. Good. Really good move. Really good move. Sorry. Between painting and this obsessive banging, it's like a little bit distracting. If you want me to go with you, I can. Okay. Yeah, I'll come with you if you would like, and we can go maybe after my stream. I guess today. It should be soon because I don't know how much longer. He might. He's not looking too good. He might die soon. He might die. We can go tomorrow. I don't know what's gonna happen, you know? Oh my gosh, this is driving me insane. Okay, love you too, Boo Boo. I'll see ya. Alright, bye.
All right, guys. I'm sorry. We have a friend who's in the hospital right now, and there's a lot going on. Let's just put it that way. And when I was starting the stream today, I was like, maybe I'm just not supposed to stream. Then I was like, stop being a pussy. Literally, that's what I was. Let me get this. I'm trying to get the chat back up. Sorry. And I don't know if y'all can hear it, but there's this like tapping going on. It's been going on for like, it's by somebody who's kind of an asshole, and I kind of just want to go up there and just clock him, and I'll be honest with you. But I'm not going to, because that's not the type of person I am. So we're back. You know, Tegan, he's old. He's a priest that I know, and he's one of the nicest men. Really, and you know what's funny? He's a Catholic priest, and he has a family, but he has a family because he became a priest after his wife died when he was in his 60s. And so he is now in his 80s, and this is a man who was in Germany at the time. Like, he was born in 1935, and he's an amazing man. He's seen so much, and he's one of the nicest, best people that I know. Hilarious, too. Quick-witted. It's a German accent. And he was tough as nails. And he would always be like, you need to run. You need to exercise. I was like, I do exercise. He's like, how far did you run? I said, 4 miles. He's like, that's a warm-up. I was like, oh, it's terrifying. Okay. So, like I said, I don't know if y'all can hear the tapping. Can y'all hear the tapping? Because it's driving me, like, literally fucking insane. It's been going on for the last 10 minutes. So my attention's been a little bit divided, but we're gonna get this. This does not need to be like really, really, really perfect right here. Not yet. Okay, maybe it stopped. Okay. Yeah, you hear it. How am I holding my sanity? Through my iron will to survive. This dreary rock. Sounds like my old neighbors when I used to live in the apartment. Let me scroll up some. Maybe a good painting drawing you have to commit your whole life to. Some great paintings and drawings. Yeah, you're right, tagging. You're absolutely right. All right, guys. You know what? For the sake of the stream, hey, I'm not going to subject you to this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to mute my mic. I'm going to mute my mic so you guys don't hear this. This is annoying as hell. I'll turn it back on, but let me tell you what we're going to do really quick. I'm going to start putting color in here and correcting the shape. Same thing, but I might push the color a little bit more in this. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I'm turning this off so you guys don't have to hear the tapping. It's insane. Obviously, I'll turn it back on when he stops. He just stopped, but I don't trust him. I'm going to turn it off until I know he started again. It's been stopped for about 2 or 3 minutes. That was frustrating. Serenity now. Serenity now. Clara, stop being such a pussy. Just draw. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Look what I'm doing. This stuff isn't necessarily, it's not going to be the best painting I've ever done. I'm going to make mistakes with this stuff. All right? Stop being a pussy. Draw. You got this. You can do it. You're going to make mistakes. It doesn't need to be freaking a masterpiece. But whatever you do, have a clear goal, an idea of what you want to do. Like what direction you want to go with this, and then pick. At least find like there's a lot of that going for messy. You still need drawing and painting experience going into digital. It takes skill. Yes, join the dark side, Clara. Yes, Clara. It seems to me like you're just dilly-dallying. You are waiting. You are wasting your time. You're a member of Suck It. We're not cowards. We're not artistic cowards and Suck It. All right? We're not we're not artistic cowards. You are sullying our good name, Clara, and I will not stand for it. You are sullying our good name. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? I posted a couple of videos on TikTok, but they're like the shorts. I hate TikTok, but I'm just trying to, I don't know what I'm doing. Always have a direction, Clara. There we go. Dude, he has the door wide open. And see, the thing is, if I go and talk to him, he hates me. He hates me because he's an asshole. If I go and talk to him, he'll do this purposefully to piss me off. Like, that's who he is. I can't go and say anything to him because he'll just make it worse. And I'm not... He's not somebody you can talk to. Like, everybody just... I mean, Claire, look at the start right here. Look at the start. This start is like, this isn't like perfect, right? We got to work with this. We got to work with what we have here. I'm not stepping back as much because if I do, the camera's kind of in my way. I could fix that, but I'm not going to right now. I swear I'm a... Dude. This is a test. Mic off. Until it stops. I mean, he's a metal worker, and he should be shutting his door with this. He should have it shut. I don't know why he has it open. Pissing me off. Okay. It's been stopped for about a minute. I'll leave it on, but guys, I kind of feel like, I mean, is it not driving y'all crazy? I don't know how well you can hear it, obviously, but I'll be honest with you, it's really pissing me off. Really pissing me off. Look, I can take this like if it was a normal work day and this and that, but the thing is that this guy is never here. He's never here. I'm not going to get into it because you know what? It's not good to talk trash about people who behind their back. I'm going to stop. But it's pissing me off. Okay. This is going to be a nice painting, a very nice painting. I want to do something that's just a really beautiful work of art. What I want to do is like, because you see there's this light, at least, I mean, I don't really have it yet, but there's a very beautiful light effect in this painting. And I'm going to have a glow effect with it too. That's really going to make this kind of pop forward some. It's going to be awesome. I think this like has a lot of potential. This has a lot of potential. Did you take the reference yourself, Lois? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was thinking of making a video on it, but like, I'm not a photographer, and I think there's so many better ways of doing it. You know who's really good is Scott Burdick. I don't know if y'all saw on Instagram his, his post. Actually, so they work right below me. They meaning Scott and Sue, his wife Susan. And so they oftentimes have Rose come down and model for them. And of course she goes butt-ass naked. I'm just kidding, I don't know if she does. I don't think she does. But anyway, they took like some really awesome photographs of her. Like really cool. And he put like, he said it's one of his favorite parts of the process in the creative process now is like taking photographs. I think it's good to do. Or know how to do is to take photographs like that. But they put like the depth of field and such. They made it like really blurry in certain areas. So in other words, it's almost an exact way, like an exact impression of how they want to paint. Whereas this, if I want to blur something out, is blurry to a degree. And this is a very good photograph, but it's not like, you know, down here it's not blurry. Like if I wanted to blur, you know, the arms out, you know, I would have to kind of, like, I would manually do that. I'd kind of have to make it up. Okay, that mouth is off. I do see that. Let me, I'll get the proportions with this. I've allowed myself to get a little bit distracted today. Rectify this. Comes on. Here, let's change the music up. This, I think, it actually went on repeat a second ago. Second? I have it right here, so let's start something else. Tell you what, this is fun. Everybody will recognize this. Should. There we go. There we go. Lord of the Rings. Used to like eyes, not so much anymore. Trying to capture them just right is a challenge, not a complaint, more of a self-realization. I hear you on that. I hear you. I hear you. They are hard. Eyes are tough. They can be very difficult. You are correct. So when I was studying at the Florence Academy, this movie was huge, and that's where I think I first saw it, was over there in the Odeon in Florence, Italy. It was a really amazing movie. It is an amazing movie. They did a really, really good job. And I've read the books actually a couple times as well. I really love Lord of the Rings. I really do. If I was doing anything at home, I'd sometimes have the movie just running in the background. It's a nice ambient. In Albania, when our neighbor is being annoying, we bring an axe with us and talk about the problem. That was in the past. All of the old men gathered together and talked about the problem with an axe. You have to bring an axe. I don't know if y'all remember, but when I'm not bringing politics into this. I'm not. I promise. But when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, and he had like a press conference, and everybody was freaked out because he was messing with a knife. It was this giant knife, and everybody kept staring at it. It was so random. I was like, dude, that is awesome. I don't even remember what he said. It was pretty funny. That's what it reminds me of. And he's Austrian. He's Austrian. Okay, wait. Let's go back to this. Let's bring this up some. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. Pushing the paint up. So sometimes, we have a rough start, and this is kind of a rough start, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to get it. I always get it in the end. And I'm willing to take a little bit more time on this portrait. But like I said, within reason, I'm not going to make you all tired of this, okay? It's not going to be something where you're saying, oh my gosh, I wish this was done. I'm so sick of looking at this. If it gets to that point, I'll finish it on my own, but it's not going to get to that point. I'll get this thing done. At this stage, I'm concerned about the block in, large shadow shapes, and I'm kind of pushing the light impression some. I threw color down at first so that it would desaturate as I painted into it. And then what I'm going to do, this is limited palette, and I'll go back over it with, some really solid, beautiful colors a little bit further on in the process. So I'm going to pick some nice cools, and I'm actually going to put some cool colors in this as well. Back then, if someone messed with your family, you had the right to kill them. The good old days. People were hardcore, man. Like really hardcore. I feel like we're sitting around a campfire and Gintin's telling us about the good old days in Kosovo. There we go. Just a light impression. Unify. And bring the light up in the shadows just a little bit. In shadows, it's good to have a very good red that goes a long way. A good red is a red with strong tinting power. that can maintain the dark level of a color, the dark value of the color, but add color to it, right? It has a strong tinting power. That's a good red for me. I like that. Just lightly go over this, just a little bit, bring the value up. You don't want to like finish it like that because you notice it grades it out some, but I also, it's pretty saturated with color. I'm just trying to get the overarching value of it. Let's go in with a mid-tone and work the transition, the nostril, which will greatly help with impression. I'm really kind of warming it up a little bit more sometimes, like I think in the beginning, kind of pushing that, if you will. And I successfully made the exact same color that I was trying to transition from, thereby making it an unsuccessful attempt. But do you see me freaking out about it? No! No. Guys, despite all odds, I have held it together in the stream. There have been a lot of interruptions. The day started off very rocky, but you have to work through this stuff. I have to work through this stuff. Not be a wuss about it, and you always move forward. And you know what? I saw a good friend that I hadn't seen in years came in during the stream. I'm sorry it delayed it, but it was totally worth it. Totally worth it. Back then, if someone was nothing bad ever came from it. This is true. It's called the Kanun Ilek Dukag Ginit. People still debate it. I love these stories, man. People still debate it. All right. The midtones kind of like connect everything together here. So I probably should have used some of my grisaille colors for this because they're nice and grayed out. I could use that right now. I grayed this out though. Just a little bit. And then I need to add. This music was essentially playing in my mind the entire time that hammering was going off. The entire time. Lord of the Rings teaches us about life. Kind of does, actually. I'm making sure my biceps aren't getting in the way. Make sure the guns. Stupid. There we go. I just knock it. Yeah, just a little bit. It's still fine though. See what it did. I'm looking at the stream. I step back, knocked it. Okay, it's in the same place. Should set that leg up a little bit different. I don't know if I can do it now, but I used to be able to watch the whole movie in my head as I listened to the soundtrack. In fact, come to think of it, I forgot about that. I would listen to this all the time when I first came into this studio. And it was very difficult working by myself at first. And sometimes when you paint like all day, you kind of get tired of it. So to keep myself entertained, I would listen to these soundtracks, and I would be essentially watching the movie in my mind as I painted. It was kind of weird actually, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do. Obviously not like, to the quality you would if you were actually watching it, but I knew I could associate the sound to the scene, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. You son of a bitch. There's no tapping. And Randall, we just slowly open the eyes. We kind of go back and forth with it, right? Go back and forth. I'm not going to get this finished. I am not going to get this finished during the stream, me neither. I managed to work the head, and I still need to develop the hands. Deep breaths. There's no noise. I don't know why do I need to take deep breaths? There's no noise in this. There's no noise. There's no noise. Deep breaths. Take this one. That works. I used to listen to music that was more aggravating than that tapping. What do you used to listen to? As you have learned to tune that sound out. I know, but I don't have kids. Probably right about that. You know why? You know why they would be tapping? Because they would be trying to chisel their way out of the basement that I put them in timeout for the 5th time that day for driving me crazy. And I'll simply soundproof it. You just hear chiseling, chiseling from the basement. My gosh, you're so abusive. Shut up. All right. All right, this tapping, this music is totally perfect together. It really is. I'm telling you. I think I've held it together pretty good on the stream. Don't you? Marzipan, just let me know if this drives you nuts, all right? You said you wanted to hear this. Oh, shoot, that's way too light. It would desaturate, but I'm going to darken this. Da, 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 da. the best composer ever. That's all they do is this. See, notice how we work like all around with this? We continuously work all around. And the goal obviously is to build it all up at once and to get the light impression correct. To constantly correct everything, and then you have everything, you can relate everything together all at once. It goes so much quicker, right? And it also prevents your eye from getting as tired because you're constantly switching to something new. And so you're not always looking at the same piece and juking yourself out with it. Right? Thinking, oh, well, it's too big or too small, and then you can't see it. When you constantly work around, it kind of prevents your eye from getting as tired as quickly, which is quite nice. Okay, the tapping's all right for you? All right, that's fine. Black metal. Dude, black metal. Did listen to other stuff too, though. I used to listen to, like, Nirvana a lot, and this was actually one of my favorite groups. That's just a choice if you want to attack in. You guys are just egging me on, aren't you? I'm actually surprised you are still saying at this point. Axe reminds me of Savage Dad, LOL. There's a YouTuber named Jerry Lynch that does skits. Savage Dad Insane is one of his characters. He carries an axe. And I'll have to check him out. That sounds really cool, actually. That's really cool. All right, we're just going to go from the basic impression here. I'll paint back into this. I'm not going to worry about the colors much right now, I don't think. Yeah, the insanity, that part is something that I'm constantly reminding myself. When I get pissed off, I'll just get even more pissed off, right? And also, I'm thinking to myself, the guy's working. If he's getting work done, fine. That's what I'm thinking. He's working. He's trying to do his job. Fine. I can rationalize out of that pretty quickly, though. Trust me. Medieval rock? Is there medieval rock, or are you just talking about medieval music in general? Because I love medieval music. But is there a genre that I haven't heard of? Hands suck. They do. They can be hard. You saw me, like, when I was on the phone, I was kind of messing up a lot. And they're still not, I'm looking at them, they're in the ballpark, but it's not great. Keep in mind, this is my life. This is what I do. I make a lot of mistakes. And the mouth, I keep on hitting this. The mouth is actually, what I'm working on right now is a great example of that. That's why I need to constantly step back. So here's the thing. With this painting, my goal is to set the stage for painting 1 or 2 sessions down the road, right? How do I want, in other words, the paint to lie on top of this paint next time I paint? That's what I'm thinking. Right? That's what I'm thinking. So, you need to set the stage for your painting. You need to think about what you're going to be doing the next day so that you can set it up properly. Right? That is the goal with this. That is the goal. Shoot. In good form today. How so? How am I in good form today? This stage reminds me of Matt Almy paintings. How so, Tagian? You too as well. Both of you guys. That's the same question. Will you do this in 2 sessions then? Which white do you use, by the way? I use Kremnitz white, and I use it from Blue Ridge Oil Company. Actually, Blue Ridge Oil Company has very cheap paint, but it's very good paint. Cheap in price, I mean. The paint is excellent. And the paint is absolutely excellent. And will I do this? Yeah, I'll do it in as many streams as it takes. I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 for the face and maybe 2 for the hands. I don't know, but I'll be streaming this probably during the week, like maybe on Tuesday. Tentatively saying Tuesday, I could paint the hands in, black the hands in, right? And work on the face and hands kind of separate, and then I'll wrap it up. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors with paint, as you guys well know, right? But yeah, I don't want to spend. This is not going to be a 10-20 session painting thing. This is going to be. I want it to be something that's pleasant for you guys, not uncomfortable to watch like the whole time, because it's just like it does not end. I want this to be something where you understand what it takes to push the work, right? It just shows when you are feeling the painting. Yeah, I love doing this type of work. Now this is weird because like the chin looks a little, this is really bad drawing in here. And that's because this is going too far that way, right? So I'm going to bring this drawing out some. I'm going to add the chin. It's very rough and that brush strokes. Yeah, you understand, he and I are friends. Like, Matt Almy is one of the guys at the school that I really got along with. Like, we hit it off. He is so talented, and we work together. And I learned so much from him. He's brilliant. He and his wife, Magda, are brilliant painters. Absolutely 100%. So thank you. That is a huge compliment, Tag In. You've made my day. He painted very thick. Maybe I do that. I don't know. What type of finish do you want me to do on this? Want it to be thin or thick? What do you want? You want it to be nice and smooth, or do you want it in like kind of glazed up, or do you want it to look like? Want me to try to do a Matt Almy painting? What do y'all want? Matt Almy? As if it's that easy to get. He is Matt. I am not Matt. But it's a thicker style of paint, and perhaps I can work with it and get a little bit creative. Who knows? You can paint in different styles. Put your mind to it and slow yourself down. Just like I always say with the drawing, right? Drawing, if you want to get the drawing quicker. I prefer the smooth for my own paintings. Okay, you prefer smooth. But you do you. As I'm talking about, do you want me to paint like that? But I hear you. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, whatever I do, I'll end up doing both over time. You have a very unique style, Lewis. How so? Because I don't really think about it, and I should. That's really messed up. That is so off. That is so off. Oh, wait. I screwed that up. Y'all know Control-Z in, like, programs? I've said this before, I really wish there was a real-life Control-Z. You know how much easier life would be if you could just Control-Z it? Right? Let's bring that part up. Let's use this. Control-Z. I would be using that all day long. Even though I don't really use it that much in digital. That's too thin. I know it's too thin. If I step back, it's going to look too thin. Actually, it didn't look that bad, but it is too thin, just a little bit. Let's bring this down some. Actually, that's actually pretty close. That's not bad. Till I was erased. That's hilarious, actually. Come on, birth. Come on, date of birth. Damn you. It's present until you're gone. The second that you get, it's kind of like Click or something. What was it? Adam Sandler was in it with that really hot woman. I forget her name. Have you tried looking at your own work as if it is someone else's? Maybe it will help you see your own style a bit better. I do, and I don't like it, to be honest with you. And the reason why I don't like it is that I think sometimes I overwork things. I think I do overwork things. I think that's one of the things I don't like about myself. I like some of my earlier work where I kept it a little bit more brushy because it made sense from further back and up close. It looked painterly from up close. And I think I've kind of lost that some. This is, why can't I get this? Because I'm not focused today, that's why. Not as much as I normally am. this down. Give me a second. All right, that's a little bit better. It's just these subtle things. This needs to come down just a little bit. Remember what I said in the beginning, though. You don't want to like make things too large in trying to get the proportions. So I do have to be careful. Once I get the shape, I'll go over it with some more solid brushwork. Okay, I'm glad it looks great to you. To me, it still looks a little bit off. I see some things that need to change. And this is the stuff like with portraiture, you just need to be very precise with it. But you need to know when to become precise with it, obviously. Right? This is one of my favorite songs right here, by the way. I think this is Enya, which is a very beautiful voice. I know because my mom used to listen to her all the time. I think she's Irish. Is she? I don't know. Really beautiful voice, though. I think this comes up maybe just a hair. It looks weird now. I'm overthinking things. So, again, one of the things is the reason why I stream. Well, first off, I love talking with you guys, but it's a way where you guys get to see me go through these hard moments and screw things up, and then it looks like the portrait might look totally off. And you're like, well, he messed that one up. And I know, because that's how I've felt before. But if you can get past that, it's so important, right? It's a huge thing. I frankly take the lessons that I learn in paint and apply them in life. I'm doing it currently with my YouTube videos and stuff and just perseverance through that because it's actually very hard for me to do that type of stuff. And I think for a lot of people as well. I'm not a huge person on social media. I've never really been a huge fan of it just because I don't like, despite these streams how they sound because I have to talk all day, I don't like telling everybody everything about myself just because it feels selfish to me. The reason why I do it is because it's a great way to teach and to help people. And so that's been my motivation for that. But it's been very difficult for me to take up YouTube and learn all these things. The technical aspects, I'm pretty good with technology for the most part. But it has been a challenge. But it really just, there's a degree of perseverance that you have to have with it. And sometimes it can be very discouraging. And I'll give you an example. When a video doesn't do as well as you think it should, and you've put so much time and effort into it, and Laura can attest to this. You know, she's talked about it at length before. And in times like that, I remember this type of training here because in oil painting, it can be very discouraging. You can be thinking, I'm never going to get this. This is horrible. This is that. I suck. These people got it. Why can't I get it? Viking music. She composed and sings some of the LO2R songs. Yeah. Wardruna especially. I don't know the names of them. Celtic music, so yes, I'm pretty sure she is Irish. But yeah, painting for me when I was first starting with paint, and even a couple years into it, I was very discouraged. And I had a very difficult time. I mean, for crying out loud. I was studying with people like Matt Almy and Magda. Let's see, Andrea Nutt, who is actually, I don't know if y'all know her because she's been kind of low-key, but she's a very good painter. Tim Clayton is a very good oil painter. Let's see, who else was really good? There was there's just an array of artists. And so when you're surrounded by these people who I loved, and I wasn't trying to outdo them at all. I was not jealous of any of them. But when you see them doing work, and then you look at what you've done, and you're like, maybe I'm not supposed to, you know how it is. You start thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to paint. Maybe I should have, continued being a, a hot swimsuit model myself, since women absolutely loved me. Just kidding. But you're thinking, I screwed up. You're thinking I suck. That's what that's what I was thinking, I can tell you that much. But then you learn to get over it. You learn to, and it's not all at once. It's not like one day you have an awesome painting. Tim, yeah, you know Tim, of course you do. He and I were good friends. We used to go out and get drinks all the time together, tag in. He's a really cool guy. I really liked him. I'll talk about him some if you like to, but it's more like when you're painting and then you realize you're like, wow, I just actually mixed this color without having to think about it. It's small things like that. It's small little victories that you get here and there. This needs to come in significantly because I'm just, honestly, just being so stupid with this. It comes in like that. Okay. I'm going to bring this in too. Just a little bit. All right, that looks better. It's those little victories. And so then when you have those little victories, and when you have like little successes, right, little things, then it gives you a little bit of confidence, and then you move that much more forward. But it's not like your painting became like really great. And sometimes you'll have that success. Sometimes you'll have a painting that you did really, really well in, and then maybe you can't replicate that for a while, but still you did that once, so you know that it's something that you can do. And guys, I just want to point this out on a technical note. Look, how much, remember in the beginning, did I work on this? And now look at me, I'm correcting it again. That's just part of the painting process. It's just how things go, right? We're constantly adjusting and shifting because as we shift one part of the painting, so two other parts of the painting will shift, right? If I need to bring it out, I can bring it out, but that's why I'm painting basic. His still lifes are gorgeous. There's a still life painter whose name that escapes me right now that I'm trying to remember, but Tim's work reminds me of him. It's in the back of my head. It's in the back of my mind right now. It's literally, I had a book and I lost it, and it was a very rare book, and I'm really sad that I lost it, and I don't know where it is. I can actually look it up, and I will, I'll probably forget, so somebody probably should remind me if you really want to know. Tim is a very quiet person. He's very soft-spoken. He once told me a story to illustrate this. That one time he got into an argument with his dad, who is also very quiet. And they're just quiet. He speaks, always very quiet. He said their strongest argument was just this heated argument that never rose above this right here. This is how he talks. He was always like, he never yelled. Never heard him raising his voice like this. Never talked like that. No, it's not Justin Wood. Hope it stays that way. You want me to check really quick for you? Really quick, I have it right here. It's on this, it's in this. Give me a sec. Albums. I have a database of artists that I created. A database. See all. This will take me 1 second. This is totally worth it, and then you can look them up, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Should be quick because most of these are figurative paintings, but this is still life, so I'm just going through looking at the still life image. If I can't find it, I'll go back to it, and then I'll just take my time later on and post it in Discord. But I think I should be coming up on it. Didn't do it. I'll go one more pass, and then I'll get back to this painting. Emil Carlson. That's him. And it was a landscape painting that I was looking at. But Emil Carlson, there's some differences. But if you really look at a lot of his work, he was an influencing factor for a lot of us. Emil is E-M-I-L, Carlson with a C. C-A-R-L-S-E-N. Emil Carlson. Hey, do you want another painter to look up, which I think you probably already know? I'm just going to get the spelling of his name. And you can write this down, tagging. This is for you, buddy. Henryk. I think it's Henryk, I think. Henryk Siemeradsky. S-I-E-M-R-A-D-S-K-Y, I think. I'm trying to look him up. Henryk Siemeradsky is also somebody who I study quite a bit. He's a Polish painter who studied in Russia. And in fact, I was fortunate enough to go to Moscow and view some of his work there, which is how I became familiar with him. Bought a book and lost it. Have since developed a database of his work on my iPad. All right, Henryk. I don't have it here. I have a separate one, but I'm going to go get back to the painting. Okay, Siemeradsky, I might have misspelled it. S-I-E-M-I-R-A-D-S-K-Y. All right, back to the painting. Those guys are really good. Emil Carlson, though, in particular. And I have a book, and I lost it. I don't know where it is. It's really frustrating to me. Because it was a good book. It was a rare book, and I don't think he... So far from having the thing. Okay. Let's get back to it. Anyway, today we've gotten a lot done, and I'll show you. What I'm going to do probably at the end of this is kind of soften it a little bit, brush it down some, so that the paint is even for me to paint on it when I come back next time. Soft brush here. This music is so good. They did such a good job with this. Dun, dun, dun. Oops. don't know what scene this is. This is when the Balrog shot his whip up. And then he's looking, fly you fools. And then he drops. As he drops, they're running out. And Frodo is sad. Samwise is sad. They're all crying. This is from LOTR, yes. It sounded like Conan the Barbarian. Ooh, that's also a very good soundtrack. It's a favorite portrait painter of mine, Rupert Alexander. Dude, Rupert Alexander used to be Rupert Atkinson. I'm good friends with him as well. And he's a very nice guy. I really like him, and his work is beautiful. And he actually taught me. He taught at the school there. He was a good friend. We were good friends. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's an exceptional painter. Exceptional. And he's done some pretty high-profile portraits as well. He knows how to paint. I remember he painted in class with us once, and I would watch him. And he actually would work his paintings up outside of the model session, which was frowned upon, but he was good enough to do it. And it's frowned upon when you're a student, because you don't want to, first off, really develop that habit, but as a student, you're not able to do that as easily as somebody who has years and years of experience under their belts. So, Rupert is an excellent painter. Excellent painter. He's an excellent painter. You know, you're mentioning these people, and I'm listening to Lord of the Rings, and I'm really missing those guys. I really am. So one of the things that that I miss about places is not the place, it's the people. And I'm telling you, all the people that you've mentioned, we're talking about Tim, Rupert, and who else were we talking about? My mind just went blank with this. Tim, Rupert, and Matt Almy. Like, I miss them. It sucks, you know? It's like, so we used to have this thing, burger night, all right? And it was on Wednesday nights. It was on Wednesday nights. And what it was, we would go out, we would have burgers, but we would go from bar to bar and just drink. It was Wednesday. This is midway through, so you have a hangover on Thursday. But it was so much fun. But it was a strategic move because Ramiro Sanchez would teach on Wednesdays. Now, at this time, this was my first and second year. I was not in the advanced building at this time, and that's where Ramiro would teach, was at the advanced building. I was in the beginners building. But there was a group of 5 of us, and everybody was in the advanced except for myself, all right? And the guys that would go out, Peter Van Dyke, David Larned, all right? And those guys, they're very good painters, both of them. And Sarah Lamb actually is David's wife. And Sarah is freaking amazing. They're just insane painters. Peter Van Dyke, who married Carolyn Piffram? Anyway, should be Carolyn Van Dyke. You know, she was an excellent painter. They're all excellent painters. But it was Pete, Dave, Tim, Toby Wright, who is really good as well. Hilarious. Toby Wright and myself, and we would go out, son of a bitch, we would go out and we would drink on Wednesdays. And we went to 5 or 6 bars, and like, those guys they're all tall, and so like they could all drink so much. It was fun, man. I'm not. We really we really had a great time. So you got me thinking about all this stuff. Okay. Yeah, Toby, I'm telling you, he also has a YouTube channel that I think he should develop, but he just hasn't really posted much. But I was roommates with those guys. I was roommates with all of them. All of them. And Toby lived out in the country. So I lived out with him for a time in the country. But I preferred living in the city because, like, I don't live in the city here. So I'm kind of, it was nice. I missed the city of Florence. I missed the city of Florence when I was living. So I only lived out in the country with Toby. And did I get pain in my ear? No. And let's see. Who else was out there? We had, sorry, just trying to get this. Robert Bodum, I lived out with him, and he was the sculpture, head of the sculpture department. I don't think he's at the Florence Academy. I don't think he's there anymore. But Robert, I mean, all these guys, I want to say about literally each one of them, they're one of my favorite people, but it wouldn't make sense of me saying it for so many people. But I just love all these guys. They were so much fun, just good guys. And it's cool when you share an interest with people like that, like you know how to paint, and they're better than you, and so they're like constantly like teaching you. I mean, Peter Van Dyke, when I first came to the school, he was one of the student teachers there, and he was brilliant. I remember, and this is not an indictment on any teacher at the school, it's really not, but some of the stuff there is a little bit hard to explain. And I was having trouble, for example, understanding the compression of values as like real life. For example, you have just almost an infinite amount of values. Then it's compressed in paint, compressed more in charcoal, compressed even more in pencil. And I was having trouble because I was given advice to bring this highlight up so much, but to do that I had to darken everything. And Pete came and explained technically in a brilliant manner why I shouldn't do that, even though I could. And it was brilliant. And he's the only teacher who could explain that because he's just smart as hell. And then I was thinking to myself, I am so lucky to have access to people like this. Like, that's what I was thinking. You know? I'm so lucky to have access to people like this. I love Toby's work. And Nicholas. I know almost all the Florence Academy alumni. I researched the hell out of the FAA. That's why you need to get there, man. Because I think, tagging, I want your work to surpass my work, which I have no doubt you can do that. If you work hard, because I think you have a lot of talent and you definitely have drive, and I think the doors will open for you to go there. I really hope you get in because you're going to learn what you need to learn, and you're going to use it the rest of your life. And the great thing is that you kind of already have your foot in the door because you decided to do that art competition scholarship, right? You did. And so that is very commendable, and I think you deserve to get in. And, you know, I'll try to help you get in the best way that I can. I know, and like I said, I wrote Susan Tintori, and she knows who you are now, and they actually took my letter, which I was really humbled that they actually took my letter and like considered it. Because they didn't have to, because I don't even work there. But like I said, they're good people. Like, that's what I mean. Like, even Susan, I miss Susan. Susan, she is the coordinator at the Florence Academy of Art, and she's such a nice woman. She really is. She's such a nice woman. I had one person in here once, Hege. She dropped in once on one of the streams, like very early on, I remember. I actually had reached out to her, never heard back from her, and I was like, and then I couldn't find anything on her, and then I started thinking, I was like a mom, I was like, I hope she's okay. I think I told her that too. I was like, I hope like nothing happened to her. 'Cause you never know, right? Bringing this down just a little bit. Pull this down some and soften this edge. Even though it's a sharp edge, you don't want it looking like cut out. See, look at my eyes. I'm squinting right now because I have the camera like really close up so that you can see this stuff. I'm squinting down. Like I was saying earlier on in the stream, like this is one of the most important things, is understanding to squint, because it will simplify everything, which will change the way that you paint, and it will really enable you to get a more accurate impression, right? So that's what we're doing here. Dude, you'll get in. There's no question you're going to get in. Just don't settle for less. You can do it. You know, there are people from all over the world there. We had somebody freaking from China once, right? Really, really, really nice guy. Really nice guy. He didn't stay that long, but he was a really, really kind person, I remember. But he couldn't really speak any English. I think he had a hard time. But I remember him being, relatively talented. He was only there for like a semester or two. But all over the world, man, that place is the school to get into, in my opinion. It really is. I mean, it taught me so much. But like I was saying, a lot of the lessons you learn, you'll be surprised at how many lessons you learn in paint, if you stick with it, that you will apply in life that will bring about success. And I am not just saying that lightly. I am dead serious. You learn things that you never thought you would learn. What's up, kits? Kitsch Doom. I want to know though, can you work off the school while studying? Wait, I want to know though, can you work off the school while studying? Yeah, you can talk to them about that. You can actually, if you become an assistant teacher, they'll cut some of the tuition off, and if you model for them, they'll also cut it off. At least that's how it was when I was there. Kish Doom. All right, so in basic blocking, we're worrying mainly about the large shapes right now. We will let this dry and we'll go back into it. Let's continue correcting it a little bit more. I'm not so worried about the details yet, right? We're not worried about the details, but we can start sculpting some of these shapes into a little bit more subtle shapes. Now, I have used a degree of medium in this because I'm going to build this up. I'm building it up. If I wanted the paint just to like totally cover everything and like to be thick, I wouldn't really use the medium in it. Across the forearm. Let's use this right here kind of as a transitional value. Squint down. Soften. Pull just a little bit. Don't want to do that too much because it'll get muddy. So you go back in the palette, negate the muddiness. Let's go across the form here. I could go flow with it, but let's go across it some. Pull it down just a little bit. Pull it down. There you go. just lightly. There we go. Give it a nice little look. Boom. Toby makes some really interesting videos on YouTube. You know, his videos are more documentary type, and they're good videos. Toby is one of the funniest people that I know, and I'm not sure that will come across in the videos, but just he's hilarious. He is from Monaco, France. You know, he speaks French and English, and what was funny was, so his English, he has an English accent, right? They sound very, very intelligent, right? They say aluminum like aluminium stuff. Maybe that's the correct way to say it. I don't know. They always say, they always put R's on things. Like, an example's not coming to mind right now, but it'll come. But anyway, it's a different way of talking. What was funny is when he was speaking in Italian, he would have a French accent. And I would always make fun of him for that, which it makes sense though, because he says, you know, he speaks French, and French is Italians. French is closer to Italian than English is to Italian, right? Now, I don't speak Italian great, but I've worked very hard on the accent, and so if ever I try to speak any Spanish or Latin, it comes off with the Italian, you know, kind of an Italian sound with it, because that's how I'm thinking. You know, you talk like this, you know, and stuff, and it naturally happens, and so it reminds me of Toby, who speaks better French than I would speak Latin or Spanish. You know, Spanish I studied for quite some time, but frankly slept through that class, wasn't interested. Not to knock the, you know, Mexican or Spaniards or whatever, but just saying, I was never into it. Okay. You know who's also hilarious is Peter Van Dyke. Peter is what I was speaking about earlier. Whoops. Need a better setup. That guy is absolutely, in fact, Dave is too. Dave and Pete, they're both hilarious. Bring this down some, because if you look at the relationship of the nose to this cheek, but before I decided to bring this down, I looked at this distance right here to that, and it's questionable, so I might have to raise that back up. Let me think. All right, let's kind of sculpt that nose just a little bit. And this is actually how Queldor sounds. He did this, he sang this in Lord of the Rings for him. He was 3, actually. It was incredibly creepy, but it worked. And they took it, you know. And let's just keep on working this up. All right, so I'm going to bring the nose out just a little bit here, but I need to be careful that it does not become too wide. So we might need to bring it back in. Painting is constant adjustments and going back and forth with this stuff. You know what I should have been doing, and I haven't been, is using the mirror to paint. You know, looking in the stream too actually helps me some, because it's a different perspective. But the problem with that is that it's at a slight angle, which does at this point kind of affect what I'm looking at. It's not 100%. It's very subtle. So here's the other thing, like when I do an alla prima painting, you see, I think it's more gratifying to watch because it comes into existence much quicker. It's obvious when it's happening. The thing with painting like this, I think it's really cool. I don't know. I'd have to watch it. I haven't really watched it, just sat there in a video and watched it all the way through. I would think it would be a little bit more boring. That would be cool to see a really fine painting being made. And the reason why I would think it's boring is because it's taking long, like you kind of touch little areas like I'm doing here, just like small little things, and it does make a difference, but it's not like Bob Ross where it's like, boom, I just created an entire landscape in like a second. You can do it very easily just like me. It's not like that. And this angle's off. This comes up some just a little bit. And then this, you see how it's graying out here? And that actually might be too high. There's reflection, at least on my end. All right, I might change the music at this point. Grade it out. Going over the brush stroke just so I can see, because there's some reflected light that's making it impossible to see. All right, I'm going to change this because, wait a second. Now we'll just go through it because apparently I downloaded like all 3 of them, so we'll just keep this going. This is the end of the first, I think. It's a trilogy. Let's do this. Screw this up. All right, there we go. Boom! So this is going to be a very refined portrait, but it's still, I'm not sure how fun it is to watch this. But, I think it'll make a good YouTube video, and like I said, I can put this on the website, you can have it, and it's a good reference for whenever you guys want to do something like this. If you ever decide to, you can use this, and it's a solid reference where you have like several hours of what it takes to do work. And also be encouraged because you can rewind and look at the times when it looked like horrible, and you're thinking he's never going to pull this off, and then later on you'll see that I indeed did pull it off. You have to have that confidence, you have to have that confidence. Cut that up some, grade it out, but that's okay. Like I was saying, my priest friend is in the hospital, and he's 87, and he used to run marathons, and he's ready to go. I obviously don't want him to go. I think he's one of the best men that I know. Right? But he's ready to go. I mean, the man's seen a lot. Like, he was around in World War II, for crying out loud. That's insane if you think about it. He remembers the 30s. And he used to run marathons, right? He used to be a marathon runner, but he's a tough guy and he's just a good man. Hilarious, too. He's frank and straight to the point. He is, which is how you should be. And he's nice. He's a nice man. So I hate to see people like that go. That's how it is. But yeah, he's in the hospital. So I visited him last night, and I went around like 5:30 when I could go. His family was there and stuff, and they were sad, handling it. They're very mature, very good family, like exceptionally good. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to like intrude. They're like, no, because he really likes having visitors and this and that. And so they were really happy. I only stayed, I think, 5 minutes because I really wanted them to have time with them. But Rose had just called. That's what she called me earlier. And I was taking the call. She was asking. She can't go today, though. That's the thing. And the thing is, he might pass. He has a flu, is what he has, or a cold rather. He has a cold, and the antibiotics aren't working, so they put him in palliative care. I think it's what palliative care, which is essentially what they're trying to do is just make him comfortable. Oh, I hate walking into the hospitals, and I don't mean to depress anybody. I'm really not trying to. You know, but he's a good man, and so I might go with her to again, because it's a good family. Like I said, they won't mind if I go again. Say, hey, look, wanted to take Rose here and stuff, but he's a really, really good man. So at this point right here, though I'm doing this detailed work, I'm doing it in the interest of this overall shape, and I'm really trying to see this piece right here, even though I have this in. I obviously need to work on transitions in the drawing, but the main thing I'm concerned about are the large shapes. Putting the transitions in would benefit me right now, and in fact, I should have done it like much sooner. I don't need to bring there because I don't feel like going out, but thanks. Give me a second. I might end the stream within a couple minutes so that I can go help my mom with something. I might be able to get back around. Okay. I might end it soon since we're going to go back into this because this isn't bad. I can tie a couple things up, put a couple brush strokes down, that way the stream doesn't last like forever. That's still a 3.5 hour stream, which is pretty good. But here's the thing. I can stream on Tuesday or Wednesday or around there, and maybe I'll try to do that. And that way, we kind of break it up some. We could definitely try to do that. That way, instead of it being this like crazy marathon of a stream, like this is decently blocked in. I'm laying the paint down, so like I really shot the value up really quick so that I could build upon it. Right? So, anyway. Maybe that's what we do. Alright. But anyway, working the transitions will help get the impression better, and so I'm thinking, it would benefit me if I got this off the bat, which normally I kind of do, so I take a value kind of in between, and I just kind of brush and mix the paint around on the board. This is birchwood panel, but I don't want to do it too much because if I do it, kind of graze it out more, and more so it just gets me in a bad habit of doing that. So I try, like I said before, when I'm working by myself, I try to do practices that don't lead to bad habits because they sneak up on you with this stuff. Well, that's since I can get things done later, just get your work done without hurrying. Well, I'm not in a hurry. Okay. There we go. So my mom has to watch after my dad, and so she doesn't have a lot of time. So time to herself, and so I try to supplement, or try to help her out rather. Do that. That's a good thing. We have this. This is coming up too high. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit, but I'm adding some value in here so that it's going to turn a little bit easier. I'm just laying paint down, then I'm going to cut it down with some light value. So the way that I normally work, instead of getting the sharp transitions, like sharp lines at first, you can do that. I tend to go soft and then cut those lines out as I go, because the reason why I start soft is because when I'm squinting down, that's how I see things. I see things very soft, right? Granted, like we have this line here of the nose, which is sharp, right? And we have certain areas that pop out more than others, and you can kind of pay some attention to them. It's fine. But it's not necessary to really go through and really spend a lot of time in detail in the beginning, because y'all have seen, even within this short session, how much the painting shifts, right? I might shift an area. If I have to shift it, then I don't want to have spent so much time detailing it in the beginning. Now, the reason why people detail, and when I say people, I mean, I have done that too. I've been trained not to, but it was a fight, right? I had to weed out a lot of bad habits. But the reason why we do it is because we think that we're going to go faster if we get a nice effect, and we see people who can get that effect very quickly without necessarily having to block it in. And some people are very good and they can do it that way. But in this type of work, you're trying to be very ultra precise and take your time. But there's another advantage too, and that is when you're working from real life, sometimes even if you can go fast, you don't necessarily want to. And the reason for that is that when you're working with a model that moves, sometimes that model is going to move into a very, very attractive position that aesthetically and artistically is way better than what you had it as in the beginning. And so you might want to shift it, right? You might want to shift that some. Bring that up some. You might want to shift it. And so going slowly will give you a chance to study what's happening, and when something shifts, if it shifts, then you can shift it, thereby having a better painting and the knowledge of knowing how to dance with the model, how to move with the model. That skill is especially important when you're working from reality, from real life in a live model situation, right? Instead of just mindlessly drawing and copying what you see, you're thinking, this model is in this position right now. I need to move that leg. This angle's off, it comes up like that. Or then it kind of swings down like that. Or this is going to be darker though, so I'm going to kind of go over it a couple times to darken it. Kind of comes down like that. So we're trying to get the light impression here. That's all we're trying to get. I'm not worrying about the detail at this stage. So the cool thing is that I've kept the paint a little bit thinner than I would if I was painting alla prima. Which means when I actually go over it again, once this is nice and dry, and I paint over it again, it's going to become even more vibrant and dark, which is wonderful. That's what we're going for. Pulling/putting some new paint on, blending it in just a little bit. So the key is, I know this is off. I see that. Let's go over this a little bit. Soften. I remember Rupert was painting, and he was humoring somebody who, frankly, had a larger ego than his talent really, made him deserve. He wasn't talented. He had a huge ego, and he was saying, oh, this part looks off, and Rupert would be like, okay, what do you think needs to happen? He says it needs to soften. So Rupert, instead of arguing with him, would just go through and soften it. And so I was watching somebody tell him, do this, do that, and he would just do it and use techniques that I had never seen before. It was really cool. It was really, really, really cool to watch. And that's how you learn. You learn by watching people do this type of stuff who have been doing it for years. You pass it on to people once you're able to do it. And, so like I said, this is the block-in of this. We won't spend forever on this, but I do want this to be a very, very beautiful painting, very well worked. I want this painting to be something that I want it to be masterful. That's what I want it to be. It's masterful. I want it to be something where I'm proud of. At first I was like, well, maybe I should make a theme of it. I'll do that, but I'm not going to necessarily do that with this. Not yet. This is too red, but I'm just going to place this here. I can go over this with color later. I'm just going to worry about the drawing. Light. Very light. Sometimes I overcolor areas that I know are going to be desaturated when I put it down. So in other words, if I'm going into paint that's already there, I know that when I place a brush stroke down, the color that's on my brush right now is going to kind of fade away. It's going to desaturate. So I'll prevent that by really saturating, really giving it a strong, colorful feel to it, right? A strong, colorful feel. And in doing so, it balances off. When I place the color down, it will be correct. It will be. Go back into the palette, resaturate. That way you can get the nice brushwork that you want. Always want to downplay those areas. Those. Because they never look right when you like really push them down. Let's see what I'm doing. There's reflection. Ah, noble music. The music of a king. See if I can push the light a little bit without making it like going too far. So I can push the light a little bit. Really throw the paint down. Sometimes it's fun to do even if I think I'm going to take it back up in a little bit. It's a little bit much. Keep in mind, you do this stuff, the values around it are going to appear a little bit darker, so you got to be careful when you put this stuff. All right, Quildarius, thanks for being here, man. Glad you can make it. Take care. Have a nice weekend. All right. We can work this stuff in just a little bit. This should be over some. Take it up. Work it in just a little bit. Bring that up. There we go. Just concise brush strokes. Looking at, oh my gosh. There's a lot of reflected light. Oh no. On the stream. It's not like that in reality. Because I'm painting really thick. Okay. Maybe I get, why don't we try to do this? Let me get a little bit different angle for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. I didn't realize there was so much reflected light, I just noticed. You're going to lose picture just for a second, okay? All right, let's see what's happening. And I'm going to take this up as an opportunity to actually move this over some as well. Let's see. Let's bring this up some. I'm going to face it down. This might help, it might not. Oh man, this is hard. Weird angle. Maybe this looks better. Lower it some. Let's try that. Oh man, I can't see to put this in. Okay. Oh wait, shoot. I forgot to do something, and I actually need a stool for this. Okay. Oh. All right. Lose picture one more time. Give me a sec. Yeah, this needs to focus. There we go. Set. I think this should look a little bit better. All right. I mean, it's a little better. I'm really painting thick here, okay? Did I just move the camera? Nah. All right, whatever. So here's the thing. I'm like layering the values up. But I'm still going to do like a lot of correcting with it. And I might brush it down some. today. Today open till 6:15. Okay, remember. Yeah, I'll check that out later. I don't mind the brushy effect sometimes, but at the same time, you need to remember that I'm building the paint up so that I can paint on top of it, and I don't necessarily want to paint over really thick brushwork right now, so I might take the paint, like thin it out just a little bit and a little bit. Okay. Doesn't work. Take this up some. Go across the floor. Help a little bit. Get this in. Mouth. Mouth doesn't work. It'd be nice to clean this place. Don't fall. Okay. Okay. I think I need to mess with the chin a little bit more. I think this area right here kind of goes over that way. I do need to work on the mouth. I think this might come down a little bit. I think this comes up a little bit. I think it's more transitional. And this comes in. So in other words, this is too big, I think. And if it's not, then I just need to change it. So there's some shifts that I need to do. So again, this is the process for it. This is the process. So don't get discouraged if you find yourself like me, constantly going back. It moves some, but it's still like pretty good, I think. Yeah, we're fine. I'm constantly going back and forth with this, as you can tell. And that's what I want y'all to see, frankly. I mean, I want y'all to see how often I shift everything. I'm going to bring this down some. And if it's wrong, I can shift it back. But that's why we're not really detailing. Just bring this down some transitionally. It might be too much, but I can cut back up into it with the dark. Let's bring this down some. And I could go overboard with this. Step back and see what I've done from a distance. I think that's actually a little bit better, to be honest. That looks really big on stream, but that's not how it looks here. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe it is too big. Let's soften this though. It goes there, breaks there, and then okay, it goes at this angle here, and then there's another angle here, which I do not have, and then this angle kind of comes like that. So it's close. And that is grayed out some, and it's grayed out because, and the reason is because I did not go into it with a separate midtone. I didn't do the transitional mixture there for it, which is okay to do, it's fine. Here, I'll do it here. I'll go back into it with a little bit warmer color. I'm pressing and pulling at the same time. Didn't really make much of a difference, but I am just slightly refining the strong. And then let's do this. Let's bring the mouth over some. So these are experimental changes to see if it really, I really think this is like subtle here, but I think this goes in just a little bit. And let's Let's get a slightly darker value here and push it into this darker value. Small changes. It doesn't need to be like drastic. Okay. And then let's use this value, just lighten it a little bit. I'm actually going to cut down just a slight bit, but I really don't think I need to do that much here. I feel like that part's good. I feel like it's more of this needs to come up, and it's probably more transitional than it is the shape. Okay, and then that needs to lighten some. Wait. Let's try that, and then I'm going to go back into it with a light brush stroke. Wipe this brush off. This is my light, but it's getting a little bit muddy. This is the color I want. Let's bring this up just a little bit. I'm just going to bring this up just a slight bit. Very subtle. Step back and see how that looks. Okay. Use the mirror. So, yeah, if you're trying to get the values, like you can use the mirror, but if you have a hard time because the color distracts you, you can use a black mirror. Excuse me. All right, guys, I think I'm going to call it here, but first, before I do call it totally, I'm just going to soften it up so it's in like a good preparational state for the next time. And to do that, let's use the brush that is obviously, of course, it's back this way. I have to kind of step over this stuff. There's a softening brush that I use, and this is it. Or, you know what? I'm going to use a fan brush. Use this one. This is a nice soft fan brush. I'll just fan it a little bit. I have a softening brush, but I'm not going to use that right now. Frankly, I don't feel like cleaning it. It's not even necessary. I can scrape this off as well. All right, so I'm just going to essentially go over very lightly areas here. Take this brushwork down just a little. Okay. And they're nice brush strokes. I like them, but I want to really create a really nice effect over them. So this is like a great first layer. So again, this is going to be something I'm going to be working on for a couple streams. All right. So we're just taking some of the tooth off it. I don't want to like totally take the paint off. And when I go back into it, the goal remains to correct the drawing, to build the lights up, a nice light effect with it, you know, what have you. There we go. So I'm constantly just wiping. Brush is going over it a little bit. And, you know, I'm trying to keep the drawing the same, right? The shapes, the softs, hards, all this stuff. I'm just making this, trying to bring it to a level where it makes sense to paint on top of. And sometimes, if you paint over brush strokes that are like really thick, and then you paint over them, you'll see like one color, but then you'll see this like paint underneath, and the three-dimensionality of that brush stroke underneath is kind of screwing with your head. I don't like that effect. That's why I'm kind of bringing it down some and softening edges and such. There we go. There we are. Just brush. broadly go over this. Let's take some of that stroke, that brush work down. There we go. Let's take, for now, I'll put it back on when we go into it. And like I said, tentatively, I'm going to say Tuesday, I think I might go into this again. So again, on Discord, check Discord, and I'll keep you guys posted. And I'll try to give you, a solid heads up with this stuff. I know it's, and again, look, I do appreciate everybody who watches this stream and keeps up with it, because it's not always. I try to make this entertaining. I'm really trying to work on the performative nature of this, so that you are educated, but you also don't feel like you're watching like somebody mow their lawn or something. It has to be entertaining to watch, I think, if you're going to spend your time here. But anyway, yeah, so working on that, and I do appreciate y'all being here and keeping me company as I do this. And I'm going to do my best to make this a really good painting for you guys, something that's worth posting on IG, as they say. There we go, guys. It's looking good, huh? All right. I'm just trying to thin this out some. Just trying to thin, especially the shadows. You want them to recede. Oh, thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you so much. He's ready to go. He's like 97 years old. I mean, I think he's 97. He has children, great-grandchildren. Isn't that amazing? He has everything. And he's a priest, because he became a priest after his wife passed. They let him become a priest. And he's one of the better priests that we have, in my opinion. He's a really, really good man. There we go. So I'm just taking my time. And even, you know what? Even these edges that I'm pretty sure are correct, I'm just going to soften them a little bit. And the reason I do this is because it's easier to make something sharp than it is to make a sharp soft once it's dried. Sometimes it's very difficult because oil paint, the reason is oil paint is slightly transparent, and that sharp will shine through, whereas a soft, this line is so vague, right? It's a very vague line. I'm using the edge of the fan brush to kind of work the edges. And this is actually a very viable technique, even during the painting process, not just at the very end when you're trying to soften everything in the interest of being able to paint on it much more smoothly the next go. You can definitely overdo this, and I have to be careful about that. I think that's pretty good. It's at a good stage to work on it. Going back into it, there's still enough paint there that it's a good first ground level layer to add on top of. So this is normally how my paintings do look in the first block and stage. And in fact, after I'm done with the stream, I'll take a picture of it. And but before I end, let me get an overall shot of this for you guys. All right, so you can see the whole thing in its glorious nature. See the whole thing. You're going to lose picture just for a split second. All right, get this back some. Oh, come on. It's tricky. There we go, got it. Okay, hold up. Hold up. Almost got it. Almost got it. Almost got it. Should be it right there. That. Let's bring this in. Adjusting, focusing. Let's focus it on the face. Okay. set. There we go. And it should be back. Try not to hit it this time. Let me move this over some. Yeah. And then let's move this, whoops. This up. There we go, that's better, huh? I know the top of the head's kind of missing, but it's not really that much of a deal. So anyway, that's what we got so far. This is how we block it in. And I think tentatively on Tuesday, I'll go in and do the same thing with the hands. All right? And so that way, by the next stream, next Saturday, the face should be ready to go back into. And then the next Tuesday or whenever I stream that next week, the hands should be ready to go back into. So that's how we work strategically. That's a good lesson as well. I mean, if you want to build layers up and you need to make sure that they're going to be dry, you plan it out and say, okay, on this day I'm going to do this here, this day I'm going to do this here, and then you can keep on working on a painting and then say, okay, and I'll go back into the face on this day. I'll go back into the face on the hands this day because that's when they're going to be dry. And that's how you can optimize your time and build a painting very quickly in that method. Boy, that mouth, I already see things that need to change. And that's why I'm saying, like, to me, I'm not really embarrassed, but y'all probably see a lot of things that need to change that I don't because I've been staring at it for 4 hours or whatever it's been. 4 hours. But guys, thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a very nice weekend, and I'll keep you posted in Discord under the stream alerts as to exactly what is going on with the stream. Yeah, thank you so much. Y'all have a very nice weekend. Hope this helped, and I'll see you guys then. All right, take care.